Are you tired of feeling like you're constantly battling against the current, barely keeping your head above water? Do the worries and pressures of everyday life seem to build up, leaving you tired and wanting to take back control? If there was a secret method that could help you get through life's storms with ease and confidence, what would it be? You have just found a video of hope if these questions speak to you. You've stumbled upon the ultimate guide that introduces the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, tailored for those seeking a profound change in their approach to life's challenges. This journey is far from a superficial quick fix. It's an invitation to explore a philosophy that has empowered individuals to rise above adversity and thrive generation after generation. Stoicism isn't just about learning to differentiate between what's in our control and what's beyond it. It's a call to live authentically, make choices that resonate with our true selves, and approach life's inevitable ups and downs with a steady heart. As you delve into the principles of Stoicism, you'll be equipped to forge an inner fortress of resilience, enhance your ability to bounce back from setbacks, and view every hurdle as an opportunity for personal triumph. This guide is exactly what you've been searching for. Through Stoicism, you'll learn the art of maintaining composure in the face of adversity, transforming obstacles into stepping stones, and leading a life filled with peace and contentment. Prepare yourself for a life-changing journey that promises not only to enlighten, but also to inspire. Building a bulletproof mindset with Stoicism is about discovering your untapped inner strength, rising stronger with each challenge, and becoming truly invincible. You've found the right video to begin crafting a resilient, focused, and unconquerable version of yourself. Let's embark on this journey together and unlock the full potential of a Stoic mindset. A lot of us feel like we're not being judged fairly, and that people often forget about us. How do you feel? You've done everything you can, but you still feel like you don't exist. You want people to notice and thank you for your hard work, but it looks like no one is paying attention. It's important to remember, though, that this does happen to many people, and that you don't have to accept it as a way of life. Let's say you just walked into a room. The area around you changes just because you're there. People in the room begin to respect you and praise what you do. People listen to you and want to know what you think when you talk. People will be looking at you. If you learn some old skills based on Stoic philosophy, this is not just a fantasy, it can come true. I'm going to show you 10 ways to think and act that many people have used and found to work. These tips will not only make people like you more, but they will also make you better. The important thing is that these aren't just ordinary secrets. They will change how you see yourself and make everyone around you better. This journey isn't about getting someone's attention for a short time. It's about making a strong presence that lasts and has an effect that lasts long after your first meetings. First step: learn to take a step back. When you take a step back, you show that you respect yourself and put yourself first. You need to know and respect your own boundaries and have the courage to let go of things, people, or situations that aren't good for your mental health or your life ideals. When making a choice, it's important to remember not to run into something without giving it a lot of thought first. Instead, what's important is to take a steady and careful approach. To do this, you need to look at every part of the situation or connection and ask yourself if they really are good for you, both now and in the future. Think about how it might affect your physical and mental health, as well as your job and personal growth goals. Does making this choice help you become the best version of yourself? Does it show what your true beliefs and ideals are? This process isn't just about looking at the benefits that are obvious. It's also about being aware of and okay with the possible downsides that might not be obvious at first. This action not only shows how strong and determined you are to value yourself, but it also makes a strong statement about how much you are worth. You don't have to get a certain result. That's your choice. This method helps you take back control of your life by showing you that your time, energy, and mental input are valuable things that should be used on things that are in line with your values and goals. Realizing the power of taking a step back also often changes how other people connect with you. They might start to think about what they're doing and what's most important to them as they realize the value they could lose. We're not trying to trick you or play games. We care about your health and self-esteem. The second tip is to make your own happiness. This approach is based on a strong self-reliance philosophy, starting with realizing that true happiness comes from inside, not from outside circumstances or other people's approval. When you adopt this way of thinking, you start a process of getting to know and love yourself. You learn to recognize the things in life that truly make you happy along this path. Some examples are small wins every day, personal successes, or quiet times to think. This way helps you feel happy inside, regardless of what's going on around you. You are encouraged to enjoy small but important parts of your daily life, like work successes, personal goals, or quiet times to think. Finding joy in these things in everyday life will boost your self-esteem and make you very happy. Making your own happiness doesn't mean cutting yourself off from everyone else, though. On the other hand, it gives you the courage to look for happiness in things that are stable and last. This could mean enjoying the beauty of nature, being proud of your own accomplishments, or finding comfort in being alone. By practicing this art, you will develop a strong sense of freedom and resilience, which will help you get through life with a strong inner guide that isn't affected by changes in the outside world or other people's views. Let's look into Linda's story to get a better sense of this. Lena works in an office. While Linda is getting ready for work every morning, she looks out the window of her small apartment and enjoys the peace and happiness of these simple moments. Even though her job is hard and requires a lot of work, she always enjoys doing each task perfectly. Linda isn't dependent on praise from co-workers or bosses to be happy. Instead, she is happy with herself because she values the little things that make her life important. Linda feels more confident and happy with this method, and her positive and independent attitude also inspires those around her. People are drawn to her upbeat attitude and confidence when she is self-reliant. Embrace the fact that finding happiness is a deeply unique journey. When you look for happiness within yourself, you give off a positive energy that has a big effect on the people around you. Being happy by yourself isn't the only way to use this energy. You can also use it to make other people feel inspired and uplifted by your presence. The art of silence is the third tactic. This plan stresses how powerful, deliberate, and life-changing conversation can be. There is an understanding that not talking or connecting can sometimes open up big chances for others to move forward. This method is all about finding a fine line between being nice and easy to talk to and still being aware of your own time and presence. In this situation, silence doesn't mean that someone is far away or hard to reach. Instead, it shows that you are aware of how important deliberate silences can be. These times of silence give you a chance to think, which is good for you and the other person. They make room for deep understanding and relationships to form naturally. By learning the art of silence, you show that you are independent and confident. This shows that your acts aren't based on the need to talk or connect all the time. Instead, it shows that you value conversation that has meaning and purpose. With this way of thinking, you'll have the courage to have meaningful conversations because you'll be thinking about the time and topic of your contacts. When you use this approach, your relationships and interactions get stronger and more important. Accepting silence as a way to understand others better lets you connect with them in a real and honest way. Building connections based on depth and authenticity is made easier by this strong tool, which also encourages a more thoughtful and purposeful way of communicating. Imagine that you and your friends are having a lively conversation about something like how technology has changed society. While everyone else is passionately sharing their opinions, you choose to listen and watch without rushing to add your own. You wait, pay attention to what other people are saying, and think deeply about what is being said. When you decide to share your ideas, you will do so with a full understanding of the problem and a unique, deep viewpoint based on what you have heard. You not only say what you think, but you also link ideas from earlier to make a case that makes sense and is convincing. This shows that you accept other people's points of view and that you have thought about what you are going to say before you speak. This makes your words more important in the conversation. The fourth strategy is to be your truest self. As the basis for individual freedom, this approach emphasizes the importance of authenticity. It stresses how important it is to fully commit to activities and goals that are in line with who you are as a person. If you accept who you really are, you become an example of authenticity that inspires and draws people to you. This method isn't just about being honest with yourself. It's also about understanding how important you are and what you bring to the world. It helps you understand that when you live your life honestly, you are writing your own unique story. Genuinely living is a choice you make for yourself and a way to connect with others in a deep way. When you live your life honestly, you not only fully express yourself, but you also make a space where people respect and help each other. Not only are people encouraged to be themselves in this setting, they are also encouraged to help each other grow. When we all share who we really are, we make a network that is diverse, rich, and engaging. Being yourself is an important part of making a place where differences are not only accepted, but also encouraged. These things not only make us feel closer to each other, but they also help us learn and grow. Another thing is that living truly leads to great change. When you be yourself and value others' authenticity, you not only get their respect and attention, but you also encourage them to do the same. This starts a good pattern in which everyone, by being themselves, makes society more open, accepting, and filled with good things. Imagine that you are a painter who loves what they do. You choose to keep drawing in your own way, even though it's not hot right now. You post pictures of your art on social media and set up shows in your area. As time goes on, people start to notice and appreciate the uniqueness and authenticity of your work. At first, they will be skeptical. Through your art, you bravely show who you are, which encourages others to follow their dreams and show who they are. You not only improve your job as a result, but you also establish a community where everyone has the courage to express their talent and authenticity. Being honest in your life makes you a good example for others to follow. People want to follow you and learn from you because you live your life based on your values and hobbies. Following this way of life will help you meet new people and motivate them to live their own true lives. This not only helps you grow as a person, but it also inspires other people to make good changes in their own lives. Fifth strategy: learn how to listen actively. Active listening is a strong way to show that you care and respect someone. Not only do you have to listen to words for this tool to work, you also have to be fully involved in the conversation and understand what the speaker is saying. This action includes paying close attention to what other people say and then remembering what they say. This method comes from the Stoic philosophy and helps not only make the talk better, but also get others to praise and comment on it. How they see this review can push them to put relationships, points of view, and your views first. To do active hearing well, you need to pay full attention to the person who is talking. You have to be completely focused on this and ignore any distractions, like putting down your phone and keeping your eyes on the speaker the whole time. You can also show that you're interested by nodding or saying something like, "That's right," or "I get it," while someone is talking. For instance, when a coworker is presenting a complicated idea, you might feel like you need to quickly think of what to say while they are talking. But it's better to focus on listening with all your heart than to let your mind wander and plan how you will respond. Once they're done explaining, you can do something very important. You can recap the most important things they said. Before giving your own view, this helps make sure that you fully and correctly understand what they are saying. When you are negotiating or talking about something important, active listening is especially helpful. It helps you fully understand the other person's point of view, answer their worries in a way that works, and find a common ground that makes it more likely that your point of view will be taken seriously and openly. Being an involved listener shows that you value what other people have to say. This gives them the courage to continue treating you the same way, giving your thoughts and needs careful consideration and top priority. Sixth tip: learn how to be unique. This idea is smart because it recognizes that shortage often creates big value. This doesn't mean staying away from other people or being hard to reach. Instead, it's about mastering the power of stopping yourself. When you do activities that stir your soul and nourish your spirit, you limit your access to other people. This doesn't mean you're cold or distant. It just means you're dedicating your time and energy to things that matter. This methodical technique needs real consideration and evaluation. Being present and ready all the time can make you blend into the background, making it easy to be forgotten or undervalued. But if you choose which interactions to have and make sure they have meaning and purpose, you become the center of attention and earn respect from those around you. You are making a strong link with others when you set goals and pick hobbies and relationships based on your own values and goals. This makes a special connection where people feel like you care about them and are on the trip with them. You make a purposeful presence instead of just being there. This not only gets people's attention, but it also helps build respect and understanding. Because you add real worth to every encounter, people want to learn from you and hang out with you. Sarah, a close friend of mine, always knows how to use this lesson in her daily life. She never runs away from what's in front of her, and she doesn't make it hard for people to talk to her. She knows how important her time and energy are. Because of this, Sarah often does things she really cares about and believes in. Sarah puts her whole heart into her relationships and interests, so every time you meet her, it's special. Women like Sarah are always around, and people value how she handles her life. This shows that she is living a real and important life. The most important thing to take away from Sarah's story is that this plan is not about making yourself seem strange or hard to reach. It is instead up to you to choose to do things and meet people that are in line with your ideals and personal goals. This choice makes you look important and makes an impact that lasts every time you meet someone. People will really pay attention to and admire you when you do this, because it shows that you know how valuable your time and efforts are. Seventh strategy: take charge of your place. You have to be determined to take control of your place. This only means not being shy about speaking up when you think something important is worth saying and not being afraid to lead when it's needed. I'm determined not out of respect for you, but because I truly believe in the value you bring. At the heart of this philosophy is a deep understanding of how you can make and keep value. You are both a customer and a manager of value. In other words, you are responsible for building and keeping these valuable things safe. Realizing this makes it easier for other people to see and value what you've done. You stop being an inactive member of society and start being a powerful person who can make a difference and bring worth to the community. A big part of this philosophy is also taking care of your own place. It means choosing how to spend your time and energy on relationships and hobbies. You show that you respect and are motivated by yourself by doing this. So, this means you know that you are important and that your presence can change and inspire the people around you. Lastly, this plan helps you feel confident and full of life in any situation. You know that the things you do are not only important, but also highly valued. Do not be patient. This is about having respect for yourself. The people you live with and the people you date should be in line with your morals and goals. This makes sure that what you do is not only noticed, but also respected and valuable. You take the time to list the most important things you need to do every morning before you start work. A plan tells you how to spend your time and what to do first, so you can focus on the things that will help you reach your goals the most. You're good at managing your personal space when you're not at work. You make a neat and clean space where people can work and rest. This supports your ability to focus and makes it easier to be creative and do your best work. You can better reach your personal and business goals if you know how to handle your space. You'll also know how valuable your time and space really are. Plan number 8. Give a convincing speech. Stoic philosophy says that art that persuades is an important part of conversation. It's a skill that requires being able to use words well to fit in with other people's views and values. At the same time, it builds a strong link that can change people's minds and affect choices. There are 3 important parts of a persuasive presentation: reason, passion, and clarity. The first thing is truth. The most important part of persuading is this: people can easily understand and remember what you say when you share your thoughts or facts in a clear way. Reason comes next. To convince someone of something, you need to give them reasons or facts to back up your point of view. It's not enough to just say what point of view you want to share. You also need to explain why it makes sense and is good for everyone. Finally, there's feeling. People often decide what to do based on their feelings and relationships with other people. In order to connect with the audience, you need to know how to use feelings in your talk. Imagine that you are a manager at a business and you want to get your team to join a new plan to do their jobs better. You decide that instead of just giving information about what's happening now, you will link this plan to the team's long-held values and goals. We all know that job performance is an important goal that we all value, you say to start the meeting with the team. But we have also felt the pressure of overworking, and it has affected our lives outside of work, haven't we? This connects the new strategy to the goal that the team cares about. This makes a strong link and puts the new strategy in a relevant context for each team member's life and personal values. This helps them understand and support the change. It's clear that persuasive art isn't just useful at work. It can also be used in personal settings. To be good at convincing, you need to be able to send a word that people not only hear, but also fully understand and feel. This helps you have a good effect on other people because they start to value what you say and do. Although it's a strong tool, it's important to use it in an honest way. Strategy number 9. Show confidence by being calm. Someone often thinks that the biggest voice in the room will get the most attention because of how busy our world is. Stoic philosophy, on the other hand, offers a different view: trust through peace. The idea behind this is that if you seem calm and sure of yourself, people will naturally be interested in and respect you. Let's look at a regular situation. You're in a very important meeting. There is a moment of silence. Instead of trying to fill it yourself or responding strongly to every word right away, use this time to really listen. If you're going to speak up, do it with confidence and calm. The interesting thing is that this way of thinking often gets people's attention and respect. They can tell that you don't just talk a lot, but that you talk with meaning, depth, and careful thought. This makes you a source that everyone can trust. People will look forward to the useful things you have to say in the talk. Remember that staying calm and sure of yourself is even more important in everyday life when you're facing problems. The best thing to do is to keep your cool instead of showing stress or worry. Not only does this help you solve problems better, but it also shows that you have self-control, which makes other people value you. When you talk to people every day, try to keep a calm mood, especially when things get tough. Don't show stress or strain. Instead, stay calm in these scenarios. This not only helps you come up with better ideas, but it also shows an amazing amount of self-control, which makes people respect you. You become a strong Stoic philosopher when you always act calmly. Others will notice you, pay attention to what you have to say, and care about what you need, because they know you can handle both important and calm times in a balanced way. 10th strategy: be open to learning and growing all the time. We always tell ourselves and stress how important it is to keep learning and improving ourselves. It urges us to see life as a continuous process of growth, where every event, good or bad, is a valuable chance to learn and move forward. To be open to constant growth, we need to actively seek out new information, improve our skills, and try new things. This could mean doing something as easy as reading more books, going to college, or even taking on new jobs at work and in our daily lives. This way of doing things not only helps us learn more about the world, but it also makes it easier for us to have important talks and complete jobs. It shows a strong dedication to continuous personal growth and a genuine desire to learn more. By showing that we have a growth attitude, we will inspire other people. Everyone around us is inspired by our commitment to self-improvement to start their own journey of constant learning and growth. Our steadfast dedication to personal greatness and the knowledge that there is always room for growth is shown by this. If something goes wrong with your work, don't blame yourself or give up. Instead, see it as a chance to learn and improve. Choose to learn more about that subject, get better at it, and even take training classes to really understand it well. This action not only helps you learn new things and get better at the ones you already have, but it also changes your job for the better. People who work with you are inspired by you because you have a growth mindset and are always looking for ways to learn new things. They have the courage to work hard and advance their jobs because of you. You set a good example of self-improvement and commitment, which inspires others to start their own journey of learning and growing all the time. In a world where strong feelings often make us feel trapped, there is an ancient knowledge that helps people break free from their emotions. As we reveal the deep secrets of Stoicism that can change your life, welcome to a trip of self-discovery and inner power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events." When you understand this, you will be strong. When you understand this, you will find power in a world where feelings can be like huge waves. How do we get to our fixed point? Join us on this journey as we dig deep into 7 important Stoic lessons that will help you control your feelings and weather the storms of life with unwavering resilience. First lesson: look at problems as chances to learn. Problems, from small ones in your own life to big ones happening around the world, are all around us. Having problems is a normal part of being human. But can we see these problems not as problems to be solved, but as chances to make things better. Adversity is viewed by Stoics from a strong viewpoint. They think that even though we can't change the things that happen to us, we can change how we think about and react to them. With this new way of looking at things, problems become lessons instead of just problems. This thought is beautifully summed up by the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that every problem or challenge can move us forward if we choose to see it as a chance to enhance our skills. Think about how a river deals with a big rock in its way. The river does not stop and struggle to get past the problem. Instead, it uses its time and power to wear away at the rock or make a new path. At first, that rock was a big problem, but with time and unshakable drive, it becomes a natural part of the river. It changes the river's path and shape totally, making a new pattern that shows how nature is flexible and able to change. This tells us that when we meet problems or challenges in life, we can also use our own strength and time to find ways to get past them. They can become chances and things that change our journey in the end. In the same way, problems in our lives can change our paths and often lead to results we didn't expect. An example of this is when someone loses their job. After being a tragedy at first, it can lead them down a new job path. It can give them chances to improve themselves, learn new skills, and get into new areas. People who lose their jobs may even use the time to learn more about themselves and start their own business to follow their personal dreams and hobbies. There are many times in life when problems and changes can lead to success and opportunities you didn't expect. Having a stern attitude also helps you be more patient. When we see problems as chances to learn and grow, we are more open to change and ready to face problems head-on. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can this experience shape me for the better?" Of course, this doesn't mean we should look for problems or make light of real ones. It means realizing that every problem has a solution, a chance to make things better. We can use problems as opportunities to grow, become wiser, and become whole by giving this seed a positive attitude, being patient, and not giving up. The second lesson is about the power of questions. Is this important in the next 5 years? We all face times in our lives that test our patience, persistence, and ability to see things clearly. Every day we deal with emotionally charged situations, from small ones like spilling coffee to bigger ones like fights with family and friends. When we're angry, it's easy to get caught up in how quickly our feelings change. It can feel like the end of the world when you forget an important occasion, a goal, or a message that is very important. But a strong question can help us see things more clearly and change our minds. In 5 years, will this still be important? We can use this simple but deep question as a mental time machine to go to the future and see what is happening now. All of a sudden, that angry debate or missed chance looks very different. Most of the things we worry about now will not matter much in the grand scheme of our lives. Think about the problems and stresses you had 5 years ago. How many of them are still important now? How many have been overwhelmed by memories, new situations, and things learned? Being aware of this can humble you and set you free. Using this question as a regular stop helps us figure out what's most important to us. This helps us tell the difference between short-term problems and long-term effects. For example, a day at work with low output might feel like a lot of stress right now, but we need to remember that it's only one day in a job that lasts decades. This point of view not only helps us see how important our work journey is in the bigger picture, but it also gives us more courage to deal with setbacks. The quote serves as a warning that we can get lost in the problems and stresses of the present moment. We shouldn't get stuck in short-term issues. Instead, we should use this time to plan, change, and move on. Also, we need to keep in mind that time often helps us see things more clearly and find answers to our problems. We can lessen anxiety and encourage more efficient problem solving by keeping our cool and keeping an eye on the big picture. And this isn't just an attempt to play down our worries, though. This question also gives us the courage to think about what's important. We need to put our money into relationships, personal growth, and events that will last if we want our choices and actions to have value in the long run. The question, "Is this important in the next 5 years?" can help us find peace and direction in our lives in a world that is too focused on the here and now. We can handle the ups and downs of life with grace by coming back to this question often. This will help us keep our energy and attention on what really matters. Third lesson, know what you can control. Have you ever been caught in a storm? Life storms, not the ones with rain and thunder. Unexpected things that happen, losses or sudden changes. Stoic thinkers from old Greece and Rome taught us something that feels like a lifeline in these rough times. The difference between having control and not having control. Think about this. You're planning an outdoor event, but it rains at the last minute. No matter how much you want to, you can't change the weather. But how did you feel about the rain? You are free to do that. You could be sad and angry, or you could change. You could move the event inside or enjoy the rain as a change. Though he was born a slave and became one of the most important minds of his time, Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and others not." That sounds simple, doesn't it? There is deep knowledge in this simplicity, though, that can change our lives. We deal with a lot of different situations every day. Some of them we can change, like our daily habits, the books we read, or the people we hang out with. But there are many things we can't control, like world events, other people's acts, time passing, and yes, the weather. This is where things get interesting. Stoics thought that our happiness doesn't rest on what happens in the outside world, but on how we understand and react to it. Our feelings aren't caused by the event itself, but by how we think about it. Think about a time when something went wrong. You might not have gotten the job you wanted. Everything felt bad at the time. But after some time, you may have realized it was actually a blessing in hiding that led you to a better chance or personal growth. But how are we going to make this work? To begin, ask yourself, is this something I can change? Do something if the answer is yes. If the answer is no, it's a chance to work on being able to accept and change things. We can free ourselves from needless pain by really learning and internalizing this concept. Though we can't change the wind, we can still be calm in life because we know we can adjust our sails. The dichotomy of power is a bright light in a world that often seems out of order. It helps us remember to put our energy where it counts most, and to enjoy the peace that comes from knowing that some things are out of our control. The fourth lesson is to think before you act. People today value speed and quickness, so the art of thought may seem like a thing of the past. However, taking the time to think and pause can be our saving grace in a world that often needs quick answers. Think about how often we have to make choices, both big and small, like what to eat at a restaurant or what to do for a living. There are many options to choose from. The way we make these decisions is just as important as the size of the choices we have to make. As an example, let's look at reading a message that makes you feel something. It could be a co-worker questioning your work, or a friend saying something without meaning to. Your first thought might be to defend yourself or get angry. You could jump right into that mental whirlwind, but what if you took a step back? You're not hiding your feelings when you give yourself that brief break. You're giving them room to breathe and be understood. Reflection is not about avoiding or accepting our thoughts and feelings without doing anything. It's about being present with them. It means asking deep questions like, why did this comment hurt me so much? What ideas or events from the past are affecting how I feel right now? Is my first response based on what's happening now or on things that happened in the past? Also, thinking about what you're going to say before you say it is a way to build understanding. By giving ourselves time, we also give ourselves the chance to see things from other people's points of view. That co-worker or friend may have been having a rough day and didn't know how important what they said was. When we think about things, we help ourselves and those around us understand them better. This habit can be very important in partnerships. How many mistakes could we avoid if we stopped to think before we spoke? How many bridges could be made instead of being destroyed? Being able to stop and think is very useful in work settings. People usually respect and follow leaders more who think about their choices before making them. People think they are thoughtful, calm, and smart. Most of the time, their choices, which come from deep thought, last. Reflection is a way to protest against a world that often seems to be moving at high speed. It's a quiet but powerful way to say that we won't be swept away by the currents of immediacy. Making this promise means that we will take care of ourselves, be happy, and treat others well. It's not just a practice to think before you act. It's a philosophy, a way of life that values depth over width, knowledge over recklessness, and lasting relationships over fleeting ones. This journey inside has huge effects on the outside world, changing not only how we react, but also how our lives are put together. Fifth lesson: write in a notebook that is calm. Writing in a diary has been respected in many countries and times. Not only is it a record of what happened, but it's also a way to think about yourself, grow as a person, and get clear. This is nothing new for Stoic thinkers, whose main goal is to understand and improve oneself. A Stoic book is more than just a record of what happens each day. It's a place to think, talk to yourself, and think about your feelings, choices, and responses. It's where the outside world and the inside world meet, and it's where personal ideals and views shape how we think about events. Imagine ending your day by talking about what happened and how you felt about it. What happened during the day that made you happy or sad? Why did a certain word someone made bother you, or a small thing you did make someone happy? You might remember a lot of different things that happened that day, from small things like seeing an old friend for a short time to big changes in your life, like reaching a big goal or facing a tough situation. Each of these events had a different effect on you and made you feel different things. At times during the day, you may feel like everything is going well and enjoy the little things you do every day. It could be when you finish a long-awaited job, or when someone tells you how great you are at what you do. These kinds of events often make people feel proud and happy. But there are times during the day when things go wrong or cause you to have problems, which can make you feel bored or even stressed. A fight with another person, a mistake at work, or even a rude word from someone else could be the cause. These kinds of events can make people feel bad and uncomfortable. When we look at the little things that happen in our day and how we respond to them, we can start to see the patterns in our thoughts. This can help us figure out our skills and flaws, which gives us the chance to grow and make our daily lives better. We start to notice the things that affect our mood, help us make choices, shape our values, and make our daily habits. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in a book that is now called Meditations. It wasn't meant to be published. It was a private talk and a place for him to learn how to deal with life's problems. We can see a man struggling with his feelings, his duties, and his place in the world through his works. To get something out of a silent record, you don't have to be a ruler. With all the chaos and knowledge coming at us all the time these days, it's becoming more and more important to take time to think about ourselves. As a way to center yourself, Daily meditation brings insight in the midst of chaos. This technique can help you reach deep thoughts over time. You might learn that some things always make you feel stressed, which forces you to deal with them or change how you see them. Some techniques, like being grateful or aware, may help your mood and way of thinking. Patterns that start to appear can help you grow as a person. A Stoic notebook not only gives you ideas, but it also makes you more accountable. We take responsibility for our actions and choices when we promise to look at ourselves every day. It gets harder to ignore mistakes that are made over and over or play down mistakes in judgment. We are forced to learn, change, and grow instead. To sum up, keeping a Stoic diary is like having a wise friend who is always willing to listen, think, and offer advice. It's a promise to grow as a person, to learn more about yourself, and to live a life that is in line with your ideals and beliefs. Lesson 6. Learn to be impartial. At first look, the idea of practicing non-attachment may not seem right in a world that is always changing, like an emotional roller ride. But let us look into what it really means and how it can change things. It's not about hiding your feelings or not caring about what's going on around you. Non-attachment is about keeping a fair view, a calm in the middle of the storm. Just imagine being able to see and feel everything that happens without getting swamped by it all. In other words, you can go through life with a clearer mind and less stress, not letting any changes control you. When was the last time you watched a thrilling movie? There were times in that movie when the anxiety made your heart beat fast. There were exciting times when you were excited about how the story was going, and sad times when you felt sorry for the character's loss or their hard situation. If you could just notice these feelings without letting them take over, though, you'd be able to see more clearly how each one shapes your experience. You can think about why you felt that way at that time and how that affects what you think and do. Being able to do this can help you control your feelings and make better choices in everyday life. You can learn to enjoy exciting times without getting too excited about them, and you can also get better at dealing with tough feelings. Even though you're interested in the story, you know it's only a movie. You don't rush to help the main character or comfort people who are crying. You pay attention and feel, but you don't move. Being fully involved in life and feeling all of its emotions is what non-attachment is all about. But you also need to know when to stay in the seat of your soul and observe without getting caught up in the story. Today, when we are constantly being flooded with information and alerts, this method becomes a lifesaver. Strong responses to everything we hear can wear us down all the time. Non-attachment adds a physical layer and a way to connect with the world in a more healthy and sustainable way. Non-attachment is also very important in ties with other people. It's happened to all of us that talks get tense and arguments start. When this happens, adopting non-attachment can mean the difference between a helpful conversation and a bad fight. It helps us listen better, reply instead of react, and handle disagreements with kindness and understanding. Being aware of yourself is the first step in nurturing non-attachment. There is a gap between stimulation and reaction when we regularly check in with ourselves, understand our habits, and become aware of the emotional effects. Inside that space, we can decide how to react and act on purpose instead of reflex. Non-attachment may sound like it takes away from life's joys and pleasures, but it actually makes them better. If we don't worry too much about the end result, we can enjoy the trip to the fullest, not worrying about loss or change all the time. Finding peace in a world that is always changing is what non-attachment is all about. It's like a compass that points to inner peace and gently guides us through life's many scenes. Not only does this practice make our own lives better, it also makes the lives of those around us more peaceful and clear. The seventh lesson is to show thanks. Among all the feelings people have, thanks stands out like a golden thread, linking times of happiness, peace, and a bigger picture of our lives. Stoic thinkers believed that even though gratitude comes easily, it should be actively practiced. They suggested making it a daily habit to stay in the present and enjoy the good things in life. Being grateful isn't just saying thank you. It's a deep recognition of all the people, events, and forces that make our lives better. Realizing the beauty in the everyday, in lessons, in difficulties, and in the fact that each experience is short-lived makes it more valuable. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future." This quote perfectly captures what gratitude is all about. Being deeply in the present means that it values every moment, experience, and connection. Picture yourself sitting outside on a sunny morning. As the sun comes up, its warm rays wrap around you. Even though it's cold outside, the sun's warmth feels like a gift. You stop for a moment instead of just sitting there and going on with your day. It's cold outside, so you put your hand on your chest and say, "Thank you for the sun's warmth." This makes you more aware of and grateful for your place in the world. One way to show thanks is to do something like that. Focusing on and enjoying the little things in life makes it more beautiful and makes you feel more thankful for the good things that happen to you. We can make these times more beautiful and important in our lives by taking a moment to notice and enjoy them. Practicing thanks can also help you resist the urge to focus on what's missing, your unmet goals, or the unknowns of the future. By focusing on what we have instead of what we don't have, we can make ourselves happier, less envious or angry, and healthier overall. This might make you wonder how you can do it. It can be as easy as writing down 3 things you're thankful for every morning or every night. Over time, it can change the way you see things, making you more open to life's gifts and stronger when things go wrong. Also, being thankful makes ties stronger. When we thank others for their kindness, support, or love, we strengthen relationships, encourage mutual respect, and start a positive cycle of love and kindness. In a world where getting more of everything, from things to wants, is seen as important, being grateful is a great way to remember how rich our lives are. In this message, we are asked to enjoy the present moment, accept life completely, and walk through life with a heart full of thanks. Every night when the sun goes down in the east, we leave behind the sounds of old knowledge. Since we live in a difficult world, the lessons we can learn from Stoic philosophy are very helpful in planning for the future. We can use them to make the future important and happy. Have you ever felt like you're at a crossroads holding on to a friendship or relationship because it's comforting and familiar, but deep down you know it's preventing you from truly flourishing? People we've laughed, cried, and shared a lot of memories with might not always be meant to be with us on our trip. This is a hard pill to swallow. Do you agree that it's a shocking revelation? Stoicism, on the other hand, has old knowledge that can help us solve our problems today. As we look to live a full life, the Stoics tell us that sometimes making tough decisions about who we let into our close group is necessary for personal growth. That doesn't mean ignoring people or cutting them off. Instead, it means planning our relationships so that they make us feel good, inspire us, and push us to be our best selves. You should be wary of relationships that stop you from growing. Take some time to think about this. Not having someone close to you cheer you on has ever made you feel stuck and like you can't move forward. Worse yet, are they stopping you from moving forward? Yeah, it's not easy to be in that situation. Personally growing and getting better was very important to Seneca. He thought that we had to transform, learn, and push our limits all the time in order to live a meaningful life. Seneca would probably tell you that feeling like you can't grow in a relationship is a red flag that you shouldn't ignore. This is true whether you're with a friend, family member, or lover. There's no need for every relationship to be about breaking records or pushing you to your limits. If someone cares about you, they should want you to do well, not chains pulling you down to the depths of what if and if only. They should be your cheerleaders and support system. Spend some time alone with yourself and talk things over. This relationship is still going strong, so ask yourself why. Just because you can, out of fear, or because you're loyal. Truth be told, real connections, the ones that are worth your time and heart, should make you feel better. That you can be more today than you were yesterday should be their effect. Being around people who make our lives better is important, as Stoicism teaches us. Building a group of people who make your life better, give you courage to grow, and share your values is more important than amassing friends or being liked. You might want to think again about the role of a relationship that feels more like mud than a launching pad if you're in one. Always keep in mind that wanting to grow is not selfish, it's normal. You have to let go of people who are holding you back sometimes if you want to grow. You don't have to be angry about it. You can be thankful for the lessons you've learned and the strength you've gained by knowing when to say goodbye. Give your relationships some thought and ask yourself if they help you become the best version of yourself or get in the way of your growth. Finally, keep in mind that improving yourself is never a one-person job. You need the right people to help you along the way. I think everyone has been through a relationship where they felt like they were stuck in a storm of bad feelings. There are times when drama seems to be the major meal and support seems to be missing from the menu. Would you agree? It's very tiring. When it comes to dealing with our feelings, Marcus Aurelius had some very wise ideas. This is where our true power lies. As he famously said, we have control over our minds, not over what happens in the outside world. When used in situations where anger, jealousy, or any other bad feeling seems to rule, this changes everything. Give it some thought. There needs to be a clear message that something needs to change if your relationship feels more like a battlefield than a safe haven. Even though these feelings are normal, they shouldn't be the center of a relationship that you want to last and be at peace with. It would be impossible to live without ever being angry or jealous, so I'm not saying we should try to do that. It's up to us to decide how to deal with these feelings, though, as Marcus Aurelius shows us. Remember that you have control over how you respond, even if you feel jealous when a friend seems to be going forward in life while you feel stuck or angry every time someone puts you down, such as a friend. Don't let these feelings change the way you interact with each other. In real life, though, what does that look like? Making yourself aware of your feelings and asking yourself, why am I feeling this way, is the first step. From this, what can I learn? I want to be the kind of person I react to things. How can I do that? We need to know the answers to these tough questions. Moving away or making a change is sometimes the best thing to do. Problems shouldn't be avoided, but it might be time to re-evaluate a relationship if the two people are more interested in pulling each other down than in lifting each other up. Recognizing that not every relationship is supposed to last through every stage of our lives is okay. It doesn't mean you failed or that the other person is the bad guy in your story. If you want to live in harmony with nature like the Stoics did, then sometimes things will naturally drift apart. Marcus Aurelius said some wise things that you might want to think about if you find yourself constantly fighting bad feelings in any of your relationships. You have control over your thoughts, your deeds, and, most importantly, the people you choose to be around. Choose to be with people who are upbeat and helpful. We can really live, grow, and find peace in these places. Our relationships shouldn't be defined by drama. Instead, We should build bonds based on respect, understanding, and real support for each other. It's those ties that last, that make us feel our best, that make us happy in the end. The use of influence and power in our relationships is a tough but important subject. Having the feeling of being manipulated more than being a partner is a huge red flag in any kind of partnership. When Epictetus said, "No one is free who is not master of himself," it's time to talk about independence, freedom, and his wise words. Epictetus said that there is only real freedom when we are in charge of our own deeds, choices, and, in the end, our lives. When we're in a relationship and feel like someone else is making choices, wanting things, or even controlling our thoughts, what does that mean for us? No doubt about it, something is wrong. There are many ways that manipulation and power can work against us. If someone keeps telling you things that aren't in line with your interests, it could be mild, or it could be more obvious, like direct orders about who you should be or what you should do. In a good relationship, these things don't happen. We should respect and trust each other in order to have real relationships that are worth our time and mental investment. Being the master of your own ship, as Stoicism puts it, is crucial to having liberty. People in relationships should ask themselves why they feel like they can't make the right decisions or have their wings cut. This situation limits your freedom and stops you from writing your own life story. Why stay in it? You're not being mean or harsh when you cut ties with someone who is ruling or manipulating you. You're just respecting your worth, your freedom, and your right to live a life that remains true to you. To recover your freedom, the freedom to make your own decisions, to grow, and to live a life in line with your values, you must take Epictetus's advice to heart. Of course, it can be very hard to decide to end these kinds of interactions. Giving up something normal, or even someone very important to you, could mean this. To be patient, you should not choose the easy way, but the right way. Moving away from things that hurt us and toward a more real and satisfying life is sometimes the right thing to do. Respecting our freedom and individuality is a key part of real relationships that make our lives better. They give us the courage to learn, grow, and discover. Of course, they don't try to change us or tell us how to live our lives. Epictetus said, "No one is truly free who isn't master of himself." If you feel like someone is pulling your strings, think about this quote. Ask yourself if it's time to cut those strings and celebrate being free to be yourself. If you want to live a life where you're in charge and surrounded by relationships that support and value your independence and freedom, then this journey is worth taking. Being able to take charge of our own lives is something that real friendship and love should do, so let's treasure and seek out the relationships that give us that power. When spending time with someone drains you instead of energizing you and stresses you out instead of supporting you, what do? Every time they're around, you feel like you have to walk on eggshells because you don't want to get into another fight or be upset. There is a big problem with these things, bright red flags. They should feel good. That's how healthy relationships should feel. The goal is for them to make our lives better, make us happy, and help us through the good and bad times, not to add stress to our lives or make us doubt our worth. The Stoics were all about seeking a life of virtue and calm and living in harmony with nature, including our own nature. In line with these beliefs, they thought it was important to keep connections. Here are some things that the Stoics might say to people who are in a relationship that is keeping them from being at peace and their best selves. They'd probably give us the courage to step back and look at the situation clearly. Are you feeling better because of this relationship? Am I becoming a better person because of it? Or is it a constant source of bad vibes that make you feel tired and worn out? If the second option is true, you may want to think about whether this link is really the best thing for you. Always keep in mind that Stoicism shows us how important it is to know ourselves and have the courage to make hard choices that are good for our health and morals. Figuring out what will be best for us in the long run is not the same thing as being cold or heartless. It can be hard to leave situations that aren't good for us, but sometimes we have to. A relationship isn't bad or should end every time things go badly, but if someone is always making you feel worse, something needs to change. Sometimes things can go wrong in healthy relationships, but at their core, they're places where people can get support, love, and grow. This might sound like something that applies to you right now, so if you're nodding your head, stop and think about it. Take some time to think about what you can do to solve the problems. You need to talk to someone about how you're feeling. There's no shame in being honest. It's okay to put your peace and well-being first if things don't change. Stoics would tell us that taking care of good relationships and letting go of unhealthy ones is part of our duty to ourselves. Without a doubt, we all deserve relationships that bring us happiness, growth, and peace. So let's make a promise to look for and grow relationships that are healthy and add to our lives instead of making them more difficult. Always keep in mind that it's by facing our fears and making hard choices that we become stronger and more in touch with our true selves. Stick with what helps you and let go of what doesn't. That's the calm way. Two people not respecting each other is another thing that breaks the deal. Something good can't happen without respect. Do we really have anything without respect? In the end, it will all fall apart, just like trying to build a house on sand. Self-respect and the respect we give others were very important to the Stoics, who believed in living a good life. Indeed, they thought that each person has worth and respect on their own, and that this view should show in how we treat each other. That's why it's a huge red flag if someone is treating you badly in a relationship. Feeling unappreciated isn't the only thing that bothers you. You also know that a necessary part of your humanity is being ignored. Real understanding, trust, and love are all built on mutual respect. Which leaves what if that's not there? You're stuck in a relationship that doesn't make you feel good, isn't fulfilling, and isn't worth your time or grief. But what if it's not that easy? What if I really care about this person? Is a good question. It's hard to understand relationships and feelings perfectly. Stoicism, on the other hand, can help us in this situation. Understanding things clearly, being logical, and living in line with our greatest values were very important to the Stoics. They would give us the courage to step back and look at our relationships through this lens. When we stay in a position where we're not appreciated, are we being honest with ourselves? Are the virtues we try to live by and our own natural worth being honored? You might want to take a serious look at things again if the answer is no. As long as you know how valuable you are and make choices that reflect that, you won't have to cut someone out of your life in a cold, calculated way. Sometimes it means recognizing that it's time to move on, setting better limits, or having a deep talk about how you're feeling. People who follow the Stoics thought that we should all develop a sense of self-worth. Treating yourself with care and expecting others to do the same is not rude or demanding. It involves acting with honesty and making sure that the respect and virtue you seek in your own life are reflected in your relationships with others. When people don't respect each other, you should think about what that means for your health and happiness. After all, we all deserve to be in situations where we're treated with the respect and care we'd give in return. So think about how you can handle this problem in a way that respects your values and honors your pride. Each person should feel respected and admired for who they are, so let's work to build relationships based on equal respect. The best way to live a life based on quiet virtue and knowledge is in a relationship like that one that not only lasts, but also grows. Constantly clinging to false beliefs instead of the truth. Stoicism is fundamentally about taking things as they are, not how we want them to be. This includes our lives, our relationships, and the world around us. Stoics tell us that it's much stronger and more free to see things as they really are, without the rose-colored glasses that lies often give us. This means something for our interactions, right? We have to be honest with ourselves about them and decide if they're based on truth or a dream. Were we missing warning signs, skimming over problems, or giving someone a picture that doesn't quite match who they are? That would be bad for us and our partners. As if you were stuck in a dream, being tied down to false beliefs in a relationship can be very frustrating. Once you get closer, you see that what you thought was perfect was actually just an image, not based on reality. Hope and dreams do belong in relationships though, so don't take that away. You can have good goals, but there's a thin line between that and getting lost in dreams that keep you from connecting with people in a real way. It is about facing these lies head-on that the Stoics say you should embrace the truth. It means having the courage to see and accept our relationships as they really are, even when it hurts or is uncomfortable. Being honest and open about yourself can be scary, so this isn't an easy job. It's true though, and that's why real important relationships are built on it. It's possible to change your life by choosing truth over fantasy. Realizing that a relationship or the person you're with isn't what you thought it would be or who you thought they would be could be part of this. Even though it's hard to accept, this truth is an important step toward real growth and mental freedom. In these situations, you can love and be loved for who you really are, not for the lies you've told yourself. Please take a moment to think about this if you feel like you are tied down by lies. Do you believe all the things about your relationship, or have you made some of them up? If this doesn't match up with reality, how does that affect your happiness and health? Always keep in mind that Stoicism is not about being negative or accepting that we will be unhappy. Aligning ourselves with the truth of how things really are is the key to finding peace and happiness. This shows us that if we accept truth, we can handle our relationships and lives with more knowledge, clarity, and a sense of being grounded than when we believe in lies. So let's give ourselves the task of accepting our relationships without getting angry or upset. The more we accept the truth, the more opportunities we'll have for real, important bonds that will make our lives better. That's because the way to real happiness and love is through the clarity of truth. There should never be a time when you give up your values. Our moral sense tells us what to do and how to live our lives. What happens when a relationship goes against those values? This question might hit closer to home than we'd like. Should you give up something important when it asks you to? We need to pay attention to this tough situation. Surprise, surprise. Stoicism has some very useful things to say about this. One way the Stoics see it, giving up our most important values for love, is a price that is too high. Why? The reason being is that our beliefs shape who we are. They make us who we are, affect the decisions we make, and tell us how to act in social situations. It's not worth giving up these things because they make us who we are, and no partnership is worth that. You might not notice the little things at first when you're in a relationship that forces you to do things that go against your values, but over time they add up and weaken your sense of self and the values you live by. In a good relationship, both people should be willing to give up things or agree to disagree sometimes. Forgiving yourself at your heart is what it's about. You can live a good life by following the Stoics' advice on how to be honest and have virtue. Not matter what pressures or temptations come from the outside, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca all stress how important it is to stay true to yourself and live in line with your beliefs. Meaning, direction, and a feeling of purpose come from this connection. If someone in your life is pressuring you to break your values, that's a clear sign that you need to take a moment to think about that friendship. What is the best thing about this friendship for you? It asks me to be someone I'm not, or is it letting me grow and thrive? When feelings are involved, it's not easy to handle the problem. Still, the Stoic habit of thinking about yourself and analyzing things logically can help you in this situation. You can make choices that are good for you and respectful of the person you want to become by taking a step back and looking at the relationship through the lens of your values. It's not a sign of failure to end a relationship that makes you feel bad about yourself. Self-respect is a brave act of courage. To say that you only want relationships with people who make you feel good, respect you, and fit with who you are at your core is to value yourself. Allow us to strive for the honesty and virtue that the Stoics so respected. Rather than going against our beliefs, let's make sure that our partnerships represent and honor them. Trusting these beliefs is what makes us who we are, helps us through the good and bad times in life, and ultimately brings us happiness. Don't give up on your beliefs for anyone or anything. Keep them close the whole time. Respecting the Stoics' knowledge in this way will also make it easier for you to have relationships that are real, important, and truly rewarding. Relationships where people give and take in equal amounts are called reciprocity. Both people in the relationship should be able to help each other and equally add to it. When this mix is wrong, though, what happens? Once you're in a situation where you give all the time but rarely, if ever, receive. A lot of us have been through this, and it's not enjoyable at all. Some people like to be reciprocal, but it's necessary for any relationship to stay healthy and last a long time. One person should always be giving, and the other should always be receiving. This is an unhealthy friendship. Being a giver can make someone feel angry, tired, and unappreciated, while being a user can make someone feel dependent or entitled. What a good friendship should be is balanced, but this mismatch makes that impossible. Once upon a time, the Stoics thought a lot about connections and how important it is to help each other. Helping other people was important to them, but not at the cost of their own health and happiness. The Stoics believed that the ideal relationship was one of unity and respect, in which both people helped the other live a good life and pursue virtue. You might want to think about the Stoic ideals of balance and equal respect if you're stuck in a relationship where one person is taking advantage of the other. By letting this mismatch go on, are you showing your self-respect? By allowing a situation that doesn't support the other person's growth or input, are you showing them respect? Some people think that stopping the relationship is the only way to fix this imbalance. As an alternative, it could be a chance for both sides to grow. First, you need to talk about what you want, set limits, and find ways to make the connection more balanced. Not only does it mean giving more money, but it also means giving more of your time, emotions, and spirituality. There are changes that happen over time in healthy interactions. Sometimes you have to work hard, make concessions, and be open to change. Everyone should feel respected, heard, and supported, though. This kind of support for each other creates an atmosphere where both people can grow, builds trust, and strengthens connections. It's not selfish to try to find balance in your interactions. It's crucial. Being supportive, loved, and respected is important, and you should get it too. It has to do with making connections that last and are good for both people. As a result, let's try to build connections where giving and receiving are normal, not rarely. Think about the Stoic ideas of balance and mutual respect. Let's make links that help and inspire everyone. What makes relationships real is the giving and taking that happens in life. Know that it's not your fault and that you're not the only one who is victimized by abuse. To show yourself the utmost respect, you should ask for help, rely on the strength of those who are there for you, and take steps to leave a bad situation behind. These things will help you live a life where your well-being, pride, and self-respect are valued most. Stoicism tells us to remember how important it is to respect our natural worth, value ourselves, and take direct action to get away from situations that are bad for us. Let's stay true to our goal of a life that is not only free from abuse, but also full of virtue and meaning. One big problem is when contact fails. How do you fix a friendship where people can't talk to each other? Finding common ground seems like an impossible job when trying to talk things out doesn't work, and knowing each other seems like a faraway dream. There is a big problem here, not just a small problem. This is a red flag that needs to be read and dealt with. Yup, Stoicism can help us too with its timeless knowledge. Every relationship needs to be able to communicate clearly from time to time. There's a deeper connection between us when we say what we need, share our thoughts, and need it. We can't really know what the other person is thinking or feeling without it. Most of the time, we're wrong about what they're planning to do. According to the Stoics, it was important to talk to people in a clear and honest way. They emphasized the value of listening, understanding, and reacting with knowledge and kindness in their own lives and in the lessons they taught. When we can't talk to each other, what do? Before anything else, it's important to understand that poor communication is often a sign of bigger problems. It might be because they don't trust each other, have open grudges, or just talk differently. Stanislas tells us to look at a problem with an open mind and a willing heart, no matter what the cause is. At the same time, it makes us think about what we could have done to improve communication and motivates us to be clear and honest in our relationships. When dealing with problems in life, Marcus Aurelius believed that people should use logic and reason. If we have problems communicating, he would probably tell us to use these same tools. As much as possible, this means stepping back, putting your feelings aside, and looking at the situation without bias. What is the problem with the communication? Why? Does it need to be better? All of the people involved need to work to improve communication. Each person should feel heard and valued in a safe place. If you want to really understand the other person's point of view, you have to listen to them instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. Speaking your mind in a polite and clear way, without making assumptions or charges, is what it's all about. In the end, it may come down to having the patience and determination to keep trying even when it seems like you're not getting anywhere. The value of understanding and kindness in our talks is another thing that Stoicism tells us of. Always keep in mind that everyone has problems, fears, and doubts. Being hostile or uninterested can sometimes be a way of protecting yourself. We can better understand and connect with others when we talk to them with care. The end of a friendship doesn't have to happen because of badly communicated words. This could instead be a chance for both people and the friendship to grow. We can get to know each other better, talk to each other more clearly, and make our bond stronger and more durable. Take a moment to think about the Stoic ideals of clarity, honesty, and kindness if you are having trouble communicating. To get through the problems, use these as a starting point. Not only should you talk more, but you should also talk better. When we communicate well, we can connect and understand each other, which are the very building blocks of authentic partnerships. Here's an example of a relationship that, instead of bringing you peace and comfort, makes you feel like you're in the middle of a storm that never ends. Doesn't it seem hard? This is when the links that are meant to make our lives better end up making us less calm. For sure, this means you need to stop and think about what this friendship means to you. Stoicism is an old philosophy that teaches us to be calm inside no matter what is going on outside. It's not just a valuable thing for the Stoics. They think it's necessary for having a good life. While life is going up and down, they told us to try to stay calm. One way to do this is to be wise and careful in our relationships. The question is, what to do when a relationship keeps making us feel bad? Stoicism first requires us to step back and look at the situation clearly. What is it about this situation that makes me feel out of sorts? Are my responses and hopes to what the other person does unsolved issues, or both to blame? By moving us from an emotional response to a logical answer, self-examination is a very important process. Next, we need to think about what can be changed once we know where the noise is coming from. Are the problems possible to solve by talking about them in an open and honest way? Should any limits be made clear or emphasized?
Always keep in mind that Stoicism does not mean accepting everything as it is. While it teaches us to accept the things we can't change, it also gives us the courage to do something about the things we can change. But if the relationship is still making you unhappy after giving it a lot of thought and work, you might want to think about where it fits in your life in general.
These words don't mean giving up when things get hard. To find peace, you need to be able to tell when a relationship is truly at odds with your morals. If a relationship is making you feel bad, deciding to end it is not something to do quickly. Knowing when to let go is part of having the courage to do what's best for yourself. However, keep in mind that the goal of Stoicism is not to get rid of all the things that make us feel comforted. Rather, it is to build up an inner resilience that enables us to deal with problems without losing our cool. We should choose relationships that help us find peace, not ones that get in the way of it. Instead of being sources of constant stress, they should be sources of power, growth, and joy. So, if a relationship is making you unhappy all the time, see it as a chance to improve your Stoic knowledge. Choose the road that leads to peace after you've thought about it and evaluated it. As much as possible, let's try to be around people who make us feel calmer instead of less calm. This shows respect for both the lessons of the Stoics and our own path to a life of peace, purpose, and deep satisfaction. Always keep in mind that the connections we have a big impact on the quality of our lives. Finding balance, accepting the truth, building respect, and most importantly, making sure that our relationships make our lives better without putting our happiness at risk are all important points to think about. You should remember the Stoic values we talked about today as you go your separate ways. As you go through the ups and downs of your relationships, let them be your compass. Always keep in mind that we are all on the same path toward peace, virtue, and knowledge, one step, one choice, and one connection at a time. Have you ever felt like your life is too full of worries that aren't important, bad people, or relationships that don't make you happy? When life gets crazy, do you want to feel like you have a reason for living and everything? I'm going to talk about having a hard time, not just normal problems. We're going to do something about them. We'll learn how Stoic knowledge can help you let go of what's holding you back and live a life of resilience, peace, and satisfaction while being guided by the proven timeless principles of Stoicism. 1. Worrying too much. The Stoics teach us to tell the difference between what we can control and what we can't. This difference is very important because it's at the heart of getting rid of needless stress. Think about it. How often do we worry about things we can't change or results we can't decide? This is where Stoicism comes in handy as a light. It requires us to refocus our attention and energy on our own actions and responses, which are where we really have power. Stoicism doesn't offer a life without problems, but it does teach us that we can choose to be calm, and that calmness comes from how we handle life's ups and downs. How can we use this quiet knowledge in our everyday lives? Whenever you feel worried, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, gently tell yourself that you should focus your energy on things you can change, like your thoughts and actions. This simple but deep exercise is the first thing that you can do to live a calmer and more powerful life. Remember what the Stoics said, peace starts when we let go of things that don't need to be worried about. Take this advice to heart and watch as your life changes one free thought at a time. Second, validation from other people. The Stoics teach us that real freedom and happiness don't come from other people's acceptance, but from trusting our own judgment and living in line with our inner values. When we look for approval from outside sources all the time, we're putting our happiness in the hands of other people. People's views and social standards can make us feel like leaves that are blown around by the wind. Stoicism gives us a different way to go about finding our own worth and approval, one that requires courage. What it's about is rooted in our own views and ideals, and finding happiness in being true to ourselves. So how can we start to separate ourselves from this need for praise from other people? Am I living by my values or by someone else's standards? Is a simple but strong question to start with. Ask yourself this question every time you have to make a choice or feel doubtful about yourself. Think about what's important to you and what fits with your core values. Then, let this lead your actions and decisions. Remember that every step you take that is in line with your true self is a step toward a more real and satisfying life. 3. Relationships that aren't healthy. Stoicism is more than just a philosophy. It's a way of life that stresses how important it is to be with good people. The Stoics teach us that the people we hang out with should make our lives better, not worse. If a connection, whether it's with a friend, family member, or partner, takes your energy, makes you feel bad, or stops you from growing, you might want to think about what role it plays in your life. Think about the ties in your life. Do they make you feel good and supported, or do they drain you and make you feel less important? Stoicism isn't about cutting people out of your life without giving them a second thought. Instead, it's about being thoughtful about who you let into your personal space. It means realizing that some relationships, no matter how long they've been going on or how much they're a part of our lives, may not be good for our health and growth. The joy and happiness you'll feel when you break free from bad relationships is hard to imagine. So how do we start the process of letting go? First, take a look at your connections. Think about how each one makes you feel, what it does to your mind and even your body. Do they fit with your goals and values? Do they make you feel good? As long as you treat both yourself and the other person with kindness and respect, it may be time to set limits or even walk away. 4. The victim mindset. Stoicism isn't just about getting through tough times. It's also about changing how we think about them. It gives us the power to be fully responsible for our actions and feelings. This helps us stop seeing ourselves as passive victims of our situations and start seeing ourselves as active, powerful players in our own lives. When we think of ourselves as victims, we give up our power over other people and events. We think of ourselves as always being at the hands of life's whims. Socrates, on the other hand, tells us that we can't always change what happens to us, but we can change how we react to it. This change from being a victim to being an empowered person is life-changing. It's about realizing that our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are where real power lies. Imagine breaking free from the chains of guilt you put on yourself. We don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, we ask, "How can I respond to this in a constructive way? What can I learn from this experience?" This way of thinking gives us the courage to face our situations head-on and find growth and wisdom in the process. So how do we start to adopt this Stoic way of thinking? It starts with being aware. When you feel like a victim, you need to stop and take a deep breath. Push those thoughts away and tell yourself that you can choose how to react. 5. Taking on too much. When we try to be more, do more, and achieve more, we often get too busy and lose sight of what's important. This is when the ancient knowledge of Stoicism comes in very handy. Stoicism instills in us the value of wisdom, the ability to identify what truly fits with our purpose and values, and the courage to reject what does not. To understand that our time and energy are limited resources and that the way we use them determines the quality of our lives. Take a moment to think about your own life. How many times do you say yes when you really mean no? How often do you agree to do things that don't help you reach your goals or improve your health? Stoicism supports conscious living, not a life of solitude or inaction. It gives us the courage to set limits and stick to them, knowing that by doing so, we are not only respecting ourselves, but also making it easier for us to offer more to the things that really matter. So how do we start to adopt this Stoic way of making promises? First, take a look at your present obligations. Learn to be comfortable with saying no when something doesn't fit with your purpose. Ask yourself, does this align with my values and goals? Is this contributing to my growth and happiness? Remember that saying no to something unimportant makes room for saying yes to something more important. Set clear limits for yourself and organize your time based on what makes your life better. Sixth, comparing yourself to other people. Stoicism gives us a freeing way to look at this problem. This helps us remember that our road is completely different from everyone else's and shouldn't be compared to them. When we compare ourselves to others, we not only hurt our own story, but we also stray from a basic Stoic principle. We should focus on what we can control, which is our own actions and growth, not those of others. Think about times you've said something bad about yourself because of someone else. How often has this really made you happy or fulfilled? Most of the time, it makes people feel bad about themselves or jealous, which are not at all what Stoics mean by being calm and happy. Stoicism tells us to enjoy our own trip, be proud of our own accomplishments, and learn from our mistakes without comparing them to those of others. So how can we start to follow this calm advice? Start by telling yourself every day that your journey and worth are special. If you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's, take a moment to think about your own goals and accomplishments. No matter how small your growth is, be proud of it and use it to keep going on your own road. Practice being thankful for your events and the lessons they teach you, because they are unique to you. 7. Talking badly to yourself. The Stoic philosophy provides us with a powerful weapon against this: attention and self-awareness. It teaches us to be aware of our thoughts without judging them and to gently lead them to more helpful and kind places. Take a moment to think about how often a small voice in your head questions or attacks what you do. This constant criticism of ourselves can be crippling and give us a skewed view of what we can do and how valuable we are. Stoicism, on the other hand, gives us the courage to fight these negative thoughts that come up automatically. It asks us to replace them with self-compassion, realizing that we are all work in progress and deserve the same understanding and kindness that we show to others. So, how can we live our daily lives with this silent practice? It starts with being aware. To start, just pay attention to when you talk badly to yourself. Recognize these thoughts and then consciously change them to ones that are more positive and kind to yourself. Ask yourself, would I talk to a loved one this way? If not, why do it to myself? Doing this on a regular basis will help you understand your feelings and thoughts better. Don't forget to be patient with yourself. Developing a kind inner conversation is a process, not a goal. 8th, keeping a grudge. Stoics think that carrying grudges is not only a load on your emotions, but also something that gets in the way of your freedom and happiness. When we hold on to anger, they teach us we tie ourselves to the past and give power to those who have hurt us. Stoicism, on the other hand, tells us to break free from these chains and choose a way to be emotionally free. Think about the ones you might still be angry about. How do they change your everyday life, your happiness, and the way you interact with other people? Stoicism does not ask us to forget or excuse the wrongs done to us, but it does ask us to have the courage to let go of the anger that hurts us more than anyone else. It means realizing that forgiving someone is a gift you give yourself, a way to clear your mind and move on with peace. So how do we begin to walk this stiff road of forgiving? To start, accept that you are hurt and angry. Then, slowly try to see things from a bigger picture. To forgive someone, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How will letting go of this grudge make my life better? Remember that it takes time to forgive someone. As you work to free your emotions, be gentle and kind to yourself. 9. Thinking about the past. Think about the past a lot, especially things we can't change. It's like wearing a big bag full of stones. It makes us feel heavy and slows us down on our way forward. We can get stuck in a loop of sorrow and what-ifs when we keep thinking about the past. This keeps us from enjoying the beauty and possibilities of the present. Stoicism doesn't say we should forget about the past. Rather, it says we should learn from it and use what we've learned to guide our decisions now and in the future. Putting our attention on the present moment lets us enjoy life more, interact with the world around us, and become more thankful for the little things that make our days wonderful. What are some ways that we can start living by this Stoic principle? To start, pay more attention to when your mind wanders to the past. Bring your attention back to the present moment slowly. Mindfulness and meditation are two techniques that can help you live in the present moment more fully. When you think about the past, accept it, learn from it, and then let it go, knowing that life really happens in the present. 10. Need to be in charge. The Stoics tell us that even though we can change some things about our lives, we can't change others as much, if not more. As we struggle with the fact that the world doesn't always bend to our will, this constant need to control everything frequently results in anger and anxiety. Stoicism encourages us to direct our energy and efforts where they really matter. It does not ask us to be idle. Think of times when you were worried or exhausted because you were trying to keep everything under control. Think about how this need to be in charge may have affected your mental and emotional health. Stoicism helps us figure out what we can change and what we need to learn to accept. We don't have to give up or not care. We just have to smartly focus our time, energy, and feelings on the things we can actually change. What are some ways that we can use this idea in our everyday lives? First, think about what makes you want to be in charge most of the time. To change something, ask yourself, is this within my power to change? If not, try letting go and focusing on things you can change. Remember that being willing to accept things as they are is not a sign of weakness, but of power and mind. In the face of life's challenges, it's essential for fostering inner peace and resilience. 11. materialism that isn't needed. Stoicism, which is frequently mistaken for a call to austerity, actually teaches us something much deeper. This isn't about lack, it's about being smart. It's about figuring out what makes our lives better besides material things that we can lose. Stoic thinkers tell us to think about why we want too many things and instead focus on the real wealth of experience and knowledge. Think about how often we rush to get the newest tool, style, or trend, only to find that it doesn't make us happy for long. Stoicism tells us to stop wanting things all the time, to rethink our goals, and to realize that the most important things in life aren't things we can buy. The things that really matter are the things we do, the things we learn, and the people we become. So how do we start to follow this wise, stern advice? First, think about how you feel about your material things. Are they in charge of you, or are you in charge of them? Are they a way to get to something else, or are they something else? Whenever you want to buy something new, stop and ask yourself, does this add something meaningful to my life, or is it just a temporary distraction? By choosing experiences and wisdom over things, we can live a more genuine and satisfying life. 12. Being afraid of change. It was clear to the Stoics that change is not only a part of life, it is what life is all about. They urge us to see change as a chance to learn, grow, and show our resilience, rather than as something to be feared. We can be open to all the opportunities that come with change and find strength in our ability to adapt when we accept it as a normal part of life. We might hold on to what we know even when it's not good for us because we're afraid of change. Stoicism tells us to let go of our fears, believe in our ability to change, and look forward to the new roads that come with it. So how can we learn to be so calm when things change? First, pay attention to how you normally respond to change. Are you resistant and worried, or are you open and interested? Focus on being present and tell yourself that change is a normal and important part of life. When things change, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? Enjoy the new things and points of view that change brings, and believe in your ability to adapt and do well. When someone treats you like a stepping stone or ladder, it can be uncomfortable. It can be tough to spot fake relationships, especially when we want to believe that other people are good. But people who only see us as a way to get what they want have left behind revealing clues and words. I'm going to go into more detail about these harmful behaviors by pointing out 7 negative attitudes that make it clear that the other person doesn't care about you and is only using you. Now is the time to find out who your real friends are. Find out how by staying with us. Human nature can be rough at times, so getting through it is an art that requires intuition and experience. We meet a lot of different kinds of people on our journey. Some things make our lives better, while others make them worse. Finding someone who is only using us can be painful, and it's not always easy to see. Recognizing these attitudes, on the other hand, is the first thing that we need to do to reaffirm our worth and set healthy limits. As we try to figure out people's true intentions and relationships, one thing stands out. You deserve respectful, two-way relationships. Remember that recognizing, acting on, and most of all respecting yourself and others is the key to better and healthier relationships. The second signal, available on demand, useful for. A second warning sign that stands out is selective availability. This is because relationships are very complicated. It's clear that this is happening when someone is easy to reach when they need something from us, but hard to reach when the roles are switched. Let's say you often find yourself in the role of a benefactor, giving people what they need, whether it's emotional support, a shoulder to lean on, a favor, or your full time and attention. This person, however, responds with a stony silence when you are weak and need help or support. You get ignored messages, calls that aren't answered, or at best, a slight change of subject. When people act in this way, the balance between giving and receiving is off. You are on a one-way street where your care and efforts seem to be going in a direction that you can't go back down. This dynamic not only shows that you don't care about your needs and feelings, but it also shows that you choose not to. If someone is selectively available, it means they are only present when it's convenient for them. This is an uncomfortable truth. This one-sided relationship makes it easy to feel disappointed and angry. There is an imbalance in the relationship, and the needs of one person are constantly ignored. A very important step is to see and deal with this reality. It is important to ask, are we really in a relationship that benefits both of us, or are we just someone else's easy way to get what they want? This brings up issues of self-respect and self-esteem, which make us rethink our limits and wonder if respect and reciprocity are really shared values in this relationship. One more sign: lack of in-depth personal interest. A third warning sign that stands out in interpersonal relationships is the lack of personal interest. People who are truly interested in our lives, emotions, and experiences are our true friends and companions. They enjoy hearing our stories, sharing our happiness, and being there for us when things get hard. When dealing with someone whose only interest seems to be functional or opportunistic, on the other hand, things are very different. They almost never, if ever, ask about your day, how you're feeling, or what you want to achieve. The only thing that seems to be important to them in conversations is themselves. When they talk, it's usually about their own experiences and needs, or they only talk about simple things that don't go into any emotional or personal depth. This dynamic shows an unsettling disconnect. You start to believe that your story and voice are only valuable when they help these one-sided goals. Your part in the relationship is limited to listening to their stories or being a resource for them. It's clear that this person only values what you can give them and not who you are, because they are not interested in or caring about you. Although this realization can be painful, it is necessary for evaluating oneself and keeping one's dignity. It's important to ask yourself, are we in a friendship based on fair and honest exchange, or are we just extras in someone else's life show? Not being interested in a relationship on a personal level is a red flag that tells us we need to re-evaluate our connections and look for places where we are valued and respected for who we are. The fourth sign: shame and control taken apart. In the range of ways people interact with each other, a fourth signal stands out as a scary warning: using guilt to control others. This kind of manipulation can look different, but its main goal is always the same: to get someone to do what the manipulator wants in a forced way. Take a look at this situation. You often find yourself under light but strong pressure to say yes to requests or demands. Or maybe that person is very good at playing with your feelings and using them to get what they want. Some phrases like, "If you were really my friend, you would do that," or "I would do the same for you," are used as sharp weapons to hurt your feelings of kindness and empathy. These tricks are sneaky, and they're often hidden behind the guise of normalcy or duty. They're meant to make you question your own thoughts and feelings, which will make you wonder if it's your job to give in. You could lose your emotional stability and self-esteem if you stay in this dangerous area. But it's also important to know that trust, mutual respect, and the freedom to talk about and meet one's own needs without fear or pressure are all things that make relationships healthy. If these manipulative strategies keep pulling you in, you need to take a close look at yourself right away. It's time to think about whether the relationship can last and whether healthier boundaries can be set. Facing and admitting that someone is manipulating you is a brave thing to do to protect your mental health and well-being. When you do this, you are asserting your right not to be forced or guilt-tripped into doing what is best for you. Fifth sign, the consistent lack of respect in more depth. A fifth clear sign of dysfunction shows up in the patchwork of relationships: ongoing lack of respect. Respect must always be present because it works both ways in any serious relationship. A true friend or loyal companion follows this rule by doing things that show they care about and respect each other. But someone who regularly takes advantage of you is not likely to care about these rules. Think about how often your plans get cancelled at the last minute, or how often the other person is late, or even worse, doesn't show up at all. It seems like people always think you should change to fit their needs and wants. This person clearly doesn't value the relationship because they consistently ignore your needs and time. If you look at these attitudes together, they make a pattern of behavior that screams selfishness and lack of care. However, it's important to remember that humans are fallible and that we all act selfishly sometimes. A person who is using you is someone who keeps doing these things over time and doesn't try to change or acknowledge them. As we try to figure out how people interact with each other, it's important to remember that being self-aware and assertive are powerful skills. They keep us from being taken advantage of. It's very important to know these signs and how to react to them. It's important to know when you're in a relationship that is hurting you before you decide to end it and take steps to protect your emotional and mental health. As we learn more about how complicated human relationships are, it's important to know that we can spot and respond to situations where people are taking advantage of us. We can keep our relationships healthier and more respectful if we know and understand these signs. What does superficial bonding mean? That's the sixth signal. The web of human relationships is very complicated, and a sixth telling sign shows up: superficial bonding. This is a very sneaky sign because it hides what the relationship is really like. Someone who is using you will usually try to avoid making a deep connection with you. This behavior shows up in a conversation that doesn't go deep very often. You might start to notice a pattern in this kind of relationship. People talk about silly things most of the time and avoid talking about more serious or personal things. People in this group keep their weak spots and emotions under tight control. It's this invisible wall that keeps the relationship from growing closer to trust and friendship. People in the relationship seem to always be at the beginning, where even after a while, they realize that they don't really know this person behind a front. This makes it clear that the relationship is not important to the other person and is not a way for them to share their real feelings and experiences. For your emotional health, you need to be aware of this surface-level dynamic. It asks you to think about how important and deep your relationships are. This sign asks us to think about whether we are putting our time and energy into fertile ground that can help both of us grow, or whether we are holding on to a shadow of a connection that never turns into something more real. Realizing that a relationship is only on the surface helps us make smart choices that protect our peace of mind and help us find relationships with real depth and reciprocity. The seventh sign: being missed at key moments. As you try to figure out how to be in a relationship, the seventh sign stands out in a sad way: being absent at important times. Often, the most important parts of a healthy relationship are found when things are going badly. The true character of a relationship is put to the test during times of adversity, such as illness, personal loss, or periods of extreme stress. Imagine that you are going through one of these tough times and are hoping that someone you consider a friend or partner will understand and help you. You expect support, but all you get is a void. The person is clearly not there, and if they are, they may only offer shallow comfort or words that sound more like a formality than a genuine act of empathy. When people don't get enough emotional or physical support when they need it, this pattern of behavior is a red flag. This shows that the relationship might be heavily one-sided, with one person putting a lot of emotional effort into it, while the other avoids doing the same when it's time to give and receive. Absence at important times shows what kind of relationship it really is. It's not enough to just not be there. The lack of empathy, emotional unavailability, and just plain not caring says a lot. Not being there for each other not only wears down the relationship emotionally, but also makes people wonder about its value and sincerity. It may hurt to face this truth, but it is necessary to protect one's dignity and emotional health. Facing this truth makes us reevaluate the relationship and think about how important it is to build more fair relationships where support and presence are shared by both parties. Recognizing that there are troubling signs in a relationship is an important first step, but what really shapes the relationship and its future is what we do with these discoveries. In important times, especially when we need support and unity, not having someone by our side can show us an uncomfortable truth about the relationship. It's hard times like these that test how deep and true a bond really is. These flaws are clear when someone who is using us doesn't show emotional commitment or solidarity. Setting clear boundaries is an important part of making relationships healthier and more balanced. Being able to say no is an important part of any healthy relationship. When feeling uncomfortable or pressured, communicating your own boundaries clearly and directly is crucial. Setting clear boundaries around what you consider acceptable is a healthy way to maintain your emotional health and respect yourself. In situations where you feel used, open and honest communication is key. Addressing the matter calmly, clearly, and directly, expressing your feelings without accusations, can clarify misunderstandings and even give the other person a chance to review and change their behavior. It's also important to get help dealing with the emotional challenges of being in an unbalanced relationship. Talking to trusted friends, family members, or a professional can provide a much-needed outside perspective, as well as support and guidance. Don't forget that everyone deserves respect, and the same in return in their relationships. Identifying and confronting situations where your interests are not considered is essential for strengthening your emotional well-being. Learning how to handle these challenges empowers us to build and maintain healthier, more rewarding relationships, founded on mutual respect, empathy, and effective communication. By recognizing the signs of unbalanced relationships and taking proactive steps, you take a crucial step in protecting yourself and cultivating healthier and more fulfilling interactions. It's important to remember that your value is not defined by how others treat you. Rather, it is intrinsic and reaffirmed by how you stand in situations where there is a lack of respect or consideration. As we try to figure out people's true intentions and relationships, one thing stands out. You deserve respectful, two-way relationships. When you're stuck on public transportation during rush hour, crammed in like sardines in a can, have you ever been hit by the strong smell of sweat from the person in front of you? Being in this kind of position can be uncomfortable and annoying, especially if the other person is a loud, annoying talker on the phone. And when someone tries to tell him what's wrong, he snaps back rudely and keeps acting up. It's a fact of life that we all have to deal with rude and annoying people every day. They're on trains, buses, the streets, restaurants, at work, in traffic, and even in our own homes. The people who cause trouble are from all over the world and all walks of life. Some seem to not know basic social rules, while others choose to ignore them, even though they know them. So, how should we deal with these kinds of people? The ancient Stoic thinkers had some good ideas. They talked a lot about how to deal with difficult people, like family members who betray you, parents who don't care about you, rude people in public places, and people who don't have manners or clean up after themselves in public areas. So, what should we do when we're with loud, smelly customers, annoying co-workers, or even mean or selfish people? I will now talk about how to deal with interactions with tough people, including those who don't take care of themselves, from a Stoic philosophical point of view, adding important personal stories along the way. Epictetus left Rome and moved to Nicopolis, a city in northern Greece, where he stayed for good. He started a philosophy school in Nicopolis and had the chance to help a young man named Arian, who had a lot of potential. Thanks to Arian, Epictetus's important lessons were passed on to future generations. He put together a complete set of classes and a summary of the most important things his teacher taught. Bathing was an important part of Roman life, and one of these lessons talks about it. In the Roman Empire, public baths were very important. The Romans learned about swimming from the Greeks, and the practice spread all over the Mediterranean. Bathing was not only a way to stay clean, but also a way to meet new people. People in Rome went to the public baths not only to clean up, but also to meet new people, ask others to social events, and, for leaders, get support from the people. Even wealthy people who could afford their own baths liked going to public bathhouses because of the social atmosphere. These spots were good for getting exercise, meeting new people, relaxing, and having fun. As you might expect, though, the variety of people in busy public places led to bad behavior. Some people who went to the bath were careless and splashed water on other people, stole things, or acted like they owned the place. Reading Stoic works makes you understand that in many ways people haven't changed much over time, and that there have always been difficult people in the world. What did Epictetus say about how to deal with the troublemakers of his time? Epictetus told his students to spend some time thinking about what their daily routines were really about. It's like going to a public bathhouse. Every setting is different. People who go to these places should be ready for bad things to happen, like people splashing water, chaos, rude people, loud noises, threatening behavior, or other problems. If we understand and accept these natural facts about the world, we won't be surprised when they happen. Then what does Epictetus say? He says that our focus shouldn't just be on the action itself, like taking a bath, but also on staying calm and in control when bad things happen. He said, "You will behave better if you tell yourself, 'Now I'm going to take a bath,' keeping in mind peace and harmony with nature." It's the same for everything else too. That way, if something comes up during the bath, you'll be ready to think, "My goal wasn't just to bathe, it was to keep my mind in tune with nature, and I will fail at this if I get upset about what happens." Taking public transportation can also be looked at from a Stoic point of view. You should ask yourself, what is this activity really about? Should we always expect public transportation to be quiet, comfortable, full of nice people, and always on time? Naturally not. Individuals who have utilized this method of transportation understand that while there are enjoyable times, they do not entirely define the experience. It will be uncomfortable at times, with people making noise, smelling bad, or even trying to avoid paying their ticket. Then, how would a Stoic use public transportation based on what Epictetus said? The answer has two parts. First, Think about what the public transportation trip will be like before you leave. And then, while you're on the trip, try to stay calm and peaceful inside. If you're taking the bus, be ready for delays. If you're taking the train, be ready for rude customers and angry staff. Marcus Aurelius was one of the great Roman rulers and a Stoic. Every day he had to deal with different kinds of people, even the most difficult ones. He dealt with people who were cocky, demanding, unfair, and dishonest. The job of ruler was very difficult and came with a lot of responsibilities and stresses. Imagine being the most important person in the world at the time. Everyone is jealous of you, and many people want to take your place. Your choices and leadership affect an entire kingdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal book to think about different parts of life and how people act in order to become wise and calm. His thoughts on resilience in tough times, the meaning of life, human nature, and, of course, the difficulty of dealing with difficult people were all discussed. Marcus Aurelius gives an example of how to deal with something as common and unpleasant as body smells from a Stoic point of view. He tells us that instead of getting angry, we should use our brains and compassion to figure out what's going on and try to make the other person aware of the issue if we can. This demonstrates a pragmatic and understanding attitude to Stoic lessons, which give us the courage to concentrate on what we can change, our emotions and actions, and accept or understand what we can't change, other people's actions. When dealing with bad behavior from close people, like parents, Epictetus's lessons come in handy again. His advice is to look at tough events from a different point of view and try to find the handle we can carry, or the view that will help us deal with them in a healthy and helpful way. This usually means focusing on the good things about the relationship or the person instead of dwelling on the bad things. But, as you correctly pointed out, some people are so toxic that the relationship can't last, even if both people try to see the bright side. In these situations, it might be best to set clear limits or even stay away from the person in order to stay healthy. Stoics put a lot of value on inner peace and knowledge, and they knew that sometimes the smartest thing to do was to stay away from bad influences. In keeping with this theme, it's important to remember that Stoic lessons don't give us the courage to be inactive or to accept injustices without asking them. They give us the courage to follow our ideals and beliefs while always keeping our inner peace and the right view of the people and things around us. They also knew that there are times when things are too much to handle, and leaving is the smartest and best thing to do. The important thing is to realize that we can stay or leave. Our decision should be based on a careful and logical analysis of the situation, not on our feelings. In the case of your cousin, it looks like you chose to step away after a long time of being tolerant and patient. This fits with what Stoics teach. Stoics do not give us the courage to be inactive or to put up with abuse forever. Instead, they teach us to be aware of what we can control and to follow our ideals and beliefs, even if that means making hard choices, like separating from a family member. Epictetus often talks about how important it is to know that we have control over our lives and choose how to react to things. In the passage you cited, he talks about how we should not feel stifled or unhappy, even when dealing with difficult people, because we have the power to choose. We can stay and put up with it, or we can leave. Choosing to stay away from a bad family member wasn't easy, but it showed that you respected yourself and knew what you were worth. Realizing what you can control, acting in line with your beliefs, and seeking peace no matter what happened outside of you were also useful Stoic ideas. When dealing with difficult people and the urge to get even, the Stoic way you outlined is deep and shows timeless knowledge. Stoics thought that we should pay attention to what we can change and our actions and responses are definitely things we can change. Also, they said that virtue was the most important thing, and that we should try to live in harmony with nature and reason. Using the Stoic way of thinking can be very freeing when dealing with difficult people. We don't have to let our anger, bitterness, or desire for payback take over. Instead, we can choose to react with kindness, understanding, and, if required, a healthy sense of distance. But that doesn't mean we should put up with abuse or let others hurt us. Instead, we can set clear limits and protect ourselves. However, we don't let other people's behaviors upset our own peace of mind or make us do things that are against our ideals and morals. When it comes to payback, the Stoic view you gave is a strong warning that it hurts us more than the person we are trying to punish. When we do that, we hurt ourselves because it takes us off the road of virtue and knowledge. Stoics would encourage us to practice forgiveness rather than seeking retribution, not always because the other person earns it, but because we merit peace. The Stoic idea that I like best is that we can only hurt ourselves by the things we think and do, not by what other people do. This point of view gives us strength and tells us that we can choose how to handle any problem, no matter how tough it is. Understanding and following Stoic philosophy can be a life-changing journey, especially when dealing with tough situations. The Stoics say that we should learn to tell the difference between things we can manage and things we can't. The things other people do and say are out of our power, but our responses, feelings, and choices are. When we really understand this concept, we feel free and at peace because we are not controlled by events or other people's actions. When working with selfish or toxic people, like the family member stated above, this is very important. Stoics would tell us that what other people think of us doesn't make us valuable, and that we should look for approval within ourselves by living by our own ideals and principles. In this case, distinguishing between what we can and cannot control is a very helpful routine to follow. We can choose how to react and deal with a tough person instead of trying to change them or get even with them, which we can't do and will probably only make things worse. We can pick healthy limits, keep our peace, and choose when and how to interact or not. Another important Stoic idea is amor fati, which means love of fate. This practice entails seeing everything that happens in our lives as an opportunity to develop virtue and grow, including difficulties and tough people. Stoics encourage us to accept and welcome life as it is, believing that everything works for the greater good in some way, rather than wishing things were different. Finally, Stoics tell us that everything changes. Situations and relationships that are hard are only brief, just like our lives. This view can help us keep a calm mind and avoid getting caught up in anger or payback fantasies. We can choose to live in the present, be thankful, and follow our beliefs instead, no matter what other people say or do. If you stick to this Stoic way of thinking, you can live a life of inner peace, honesty, and knowledge, no matter what happens in the outside world or how other people act. May all of you be with God. Have you ever been in a situation where everything seemed to be going wrong, but you kept a cool head like nothing was bothering you? It's kind of like being the calm in the middle of all the chaos in life, right? What do you know? Stoicism is an old philosophy that teaches you to act as if nothing bothers you, even when it seems like the world is falling apart around you. I'm going to learn a lot about it. Imagine that you are dealing with a lot of problems. Work tasks are coming and personal problems are pulling you down, but you are still able to stay calm and collected. The power of Stoicism is like that. Epicurus, the famous philosopher, said that having firm beliefs helps you get through life's ups and downs. It's like having a secret talent. But first, I want to encourage you to stay fully present and involved in this journey. Be ready to go on a trip of self-discovery and strength. Keep an open mind and take in the knowledge that comes your way.
Rule number 1. Listen more and talk less. Epicurus, a famous Stoic philosopher, thought that the key to real knowledge is being able to listen to others without adding your own thoughts to the talk. When we listen actively, we let new ideas, views, and information into our minds that can help us understand the world better. Epicurus says that we show humility and respect for other people's experiences and points of view by saying less and hearing more. This principle requires us to put our egos aside and develop a sincere curiosity about the thoughts and feelings of those around us. By doing this, we not only strengthen our relationships with others, but we also learn to care about them more. Also, when we listen more and speak less, we make time for deep thinking and self-reflection. Epicurus thought that silence could help people learn more about themselves and grow as people. We gain clarity, insight, and a better understanding of ourselves when we don't constantly voice our views and instead take time to think quietly. By following this concept, we not only improve our relationships with other people, but we also start a journey of growth and change within ourselves.
Rule number 2. Get ready for hard times. Epicurus thought that it was important to accept the fact that life is unpredictable and that meeting adversity was inevitable. To be ready for hard times, you need to develop an attitude of acceptance and resilience. Accepting that life is unsure and facing tough situations with calm and strength were things he pushed people to do. To become emotionally ready for hard times, Epicurus says, people can build inner power and resilience. Those who follow this principle are better able to handle difficulties with ease and calm, rather than being taken by surprise or feeling overwhelmed by adversity. Epicurus saw hard times as chances to learn more about himself and grow. He thought that overcoming adversity with courage and resilience could help people grow and acquire virtues. Third rule, learn from your mistakes. Stoicism says that the best way to learn from mistakes is to be humble and think about yourself. Epicurus supports people to accept their flaws and to see mistakes as useful lessons that advance their personal growth rather than as failures. Individuals can use adversity to shape their character and develop qualities like resilience, determination, and knowledge if they take a strategic approach to self-improvement. Epicurus also says that real knowledge comes from being able to see your mistakes and learn from them. By following this concept, people can turn setbacks into opportunities to learn more about themselves and grow. Principle 4. Don't let money control you. Principle 4 stresses how important it is to be aware of how money can affect you. Epicurus stresses how important it is to keep a fair view and stay away from the problems that come with being too attached to things. According to Stoicism, being careful about how money affects you means developing a mindset of balance and self-awareness. Epicurus says that money can make people feel safe and comfortable, but it can also make people bad and take their attention away from what's important in life. Realizing that wealth is temporary and not putting too much value on material things are two ways that people can protect themselves from the bad effects of greed and materialism. Epicurus says that real wealth is not having a lot of things, but having a lot of good ties and character. People can live more important and useful lives by putting virtue and inner satisfaction ahead of material gain. Rule 5. Set a lot of different goals. According to Stoicism, having many goals means training your mind to be open and adaptable. Epicurus encourages people to follow a range of goals because he knows that doing so can increase one's happiness and resilience in the face of failures. People can find more meaning and purpose in their lives by setting goals in more than one area. This makes it less likely that they will become too focused on a single result. Epicurus also says that having many goals makes you more flexible and resilient in the face of adversity. Spreading one's efforts across several activities can help people deal with life's difficulties more easily and with more confidence. Principle 5 basically stresses how important it is to be open to differences and flexible in your goals. People can develop a sense of satisfaction and resilience that makes their trip through life more enjoyable by chasing various goals. 6th rule: don't forget about death. In order to find inner peace and understanding, Epicurus urges people to face hard facts with courage. Stoicism says that remembering death means developing a mindset of acceptance and perspective. Epicurus says that realizing that death is inevitable can be a strong lesson of how short life is, leading people to live with more purpose and respect for the present moment. Accepting that everyone dies can help people get clear on their values and goals, which can help them focus on what really counts in life. Stoicism says that thinking about death can make people want to live their lives more fully and honestly, making the most of their time on earth. Epicurus also says that thinking about death makes people more grateful and humble because it makes them realize how human they are and how all living things are linked. 7th principle: enjoy the simple things in life. Adopting a lifestyle based on balance and enjoying life's small pleasures is key to finding joy in simplicity. In his writings, Epicurus says that real happiness comes from inside a person, not from their surroundings or the things they have. By accepting simplicity, people can stop trying to get rich and famous all the time and instead find happiness in the present and the beauty of simple things they do every day. Stoicism says that the easiest things can bring you the most happiness. These could be a quiet walk in the woods, a meal with loved ones, or just some alone time. Epicurus also says that finding happiness in the little things in life leads to inner peace and happiness that lasts no matter what happens outside. Principle 8: keep your head down. According to Stoicism, keeping humble means being aware of your flaws and having a polite and self-aware attitude. Epicurus says that the only way to become truly wise is to admit that you don't know everything and be ready to learn from others. Keeping a humble attitude can help people become more open to new ideas, points of view, and experiences. Being humble means not being driven by pride or a need for attention. Instead, it means approaching life with a sense of wonder and curiosity, which leads to stronger bonds with others and a greater understanding for how full the human experience is. Epicurus also says that remaining humble develops inner fortitude and resilience in the face of adversity. Realizing that everyone faces problems and setbacks in life makes it easier to deal with them with grace and respect, knowing that real power comes from being able to bear with honesty and humility. 9th rule: don't blame yourself. Epicurus says it's normal to feel guilty or regretful, but focusing on self-blame can stop you from moving forward and keep you talking badly to yourself. People can develop self-compassion and forgiveness by not blaming themselves too much. This helps them learn from their mistakes and move on with fresh drive. Stoicism pushes people to focus on what can be learned from the experience and how it can be used to drive personal growth and development, rather than focusing on past mistakes or flaws. This is the Stoic way. Epicurus also says that not blaming yourself makes you stronger emotionally and with resilience in the face of adversity. Assuming that you are kind and accepting of yourself can help you face problems with confidence and a sense of strength, knowing that you have the inner resources to get through them. 10th principle: hang out with positive people. According to Stoicism, being around positive people means building relationships that inspire, boost, and help you grow as a person. Epicurus says that the morals and actions of the people around us have a big effect on how we feel about life. Because of this, it's important to choose friends who have traits like kindness, understanding, and resilience. Putting yourself in situations with positive people can help you create a helpful setting that helps you grow as a person and feel emotionally healthy. Stoicism encourages people to look for friends who share their values and goals, encouraging mutual support, motivation, and growth, rather than letting negative people or bad relationships weigh them down. Epicurus also says that being around upbeat people makes you stronger and more resilient in the face of adversity. By spending time with people who have traits like resilience, positivity, and kindness, you can get strength and inspiration from them, which will help you handle life's difficulties with ease and respect. Principle 11. Take charge of your responses. Epicurus says that we can't always change the things that happen around us, but we can always change how we react to them. Mindfulness and deciding how to respond are two ways that we can keep ourselves from giving in to bad feelings or acting without thinking. Epicurus also says that controlling our responses helps us feel calm and peaceful inside. By controlling how we react to things around us, we can stay calm and balanced even when life is rough. Stoicism urges us to react with wisdom, patience, and kindness rather than letting our anger, frustration, or fear overcome us. Instead of being victims of our situations, we can turn problems into chances to grow and get better by taking responsibility for how we react to them. Stoicism teaches us to understand our own fate and make choices based on that knowledge. 12th principle: do what you need to do. According to Stoicism, doing your tasks means being aware of and accepting your life's parts and duties. Epicurus says that everyone has their own set of tasks and responsibilities, whether they are family, work, or social. We add to the greater good and follow the rules of Stoic ethics when we do these things with care and honesty. Instead of being led only by our own wants and needs, we can live a meaningful life by making sure that our actions are in line with our ideals and responsibilities. Stoicism gives us the courage to put other people's happiness and the good of society first. Epicurus says that having traits like control, dependability, and self-discipline grows when you do your tasks. By keeping our promises and doing what we need to do, we build character traits that help us grow as people and as moral beings. Principle 13. Don't hold a grudge. Stoicism says that letting go of anger means developing an attitude of kindness and forgiveness. Epicurus says that holding grudges only makes our minds and hearts sick, causing us to suffer needlessly and making it harder for us to live a good life. We free ourselves from the weight of negative feelings and make room for healing and growth when we let go of our anger and forgive those who have hurt us. Besides that, not keeping grudges helps keep relationships peaceful and society together. When we choose to accept instead of hold a grudge, we learn to understand and care about other people, which builds a feeling of community and connection. Rule 14. Keep things as simple as possible. Epicurus says that keeping things simple is the best way to get focus, peace of mind, and good decisions. The idea of keeping things easy can be used in many areas of our modern lives, from our daily routines to our work tasks to our personal relationships. We can simplify our lives and focus on what's important by choosing to be simple. For example, at work, We can try to make our processes and routines as simple as possible by getting rid of extraneous details and distractions. We can be more productive, feel less stressed, and get better results if we do this. Similarly, in our daily lives, keeping things easy can mean getting rid of unnecessary things, setting priorities, and focusing on things that truly make us happy and fulfilled. We can make more time and energy for the things that really matter to us by simplifying our lives. For example, we can spend more time with our loved ones, follow our hobbies, or do activities that have value for us. Keeping things easy can also mean communicating openly, making clear limits, and putting an emphasis on connection and authenticity in our interactions with other people. Avoiding trouble, overthinking, and making things too complicated can help us build better, happier relationships based on trust, respect, and understanding. By making our responsibilities, habits, and relationships easier, we can find more clarity, peace, and satisfaction, which will lead to a more peaceful and worthwhile life in the long run. Rule number 15. Keep your peace of mind safe. In today's world, keeping our peace of mind means developing routines and practices that encourage inner tranquility, resilience, and focus. Even though life is busy, it's important to find time to be still and think in order to calm ourselves and get in touch with our inner selves. To give you an example, practicing mindfulness and meditation every day can help you become more present and aware, which will help you go through life more easily and calmly. Being in the present moment helps us let go of fears about the past or the future and focus on what we can change right now. To keep our peace of mind, we need to set good limits and put ourselves first. This could mean saying no to responsibilities or activities that drain our energy or cause us stress for no reason, and making time for things that are good for our body, mind, and spirit. Stoicism teaches that maintaining a state of acceptance and resilience in the face of adversity is essential to maintaining one's peace of mind. Stoicism pushes us to keep our inner calm and courage regardless of the challenges we may face, as opposed to letting outside events or other people's actions dictate our inner state. Principle number 16. Value real friendship. Epicurus stresses how important it is to make deep bonds with other people in order to get support, company, and personal growth. In today's world, real friendship means developing connections based on trust, authenticity, and respect for one another. There are some people who will always be there for us, through good times and bad, to support and encourage us. To value real friendship, you have to put time and work into keeping these connections alive. This could mean staying in touch, spending valuable time together, and recognizing and appreciating each friend's unique traits and accomplishments. Epicurus says that real friendship is based on respecting and helping each other. We expect our friends to help and support us, so it's important to do the same for them when they need it. Principle 17. Problems teach you something. Epicurus stresses that problems and difficulties are not failures, but chances to learn, grow, and get better, instead of seeing problems as things that can't be solved. Stoicism tells us to see them as lessons that can make us stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. For example, Stoicism encourages us to approach adversity in our personal or professional lives with interest and openness, looking for the lessons and insights it can teach us. Setbacks can become stepping stones for personal and professional growth if we see them as chances to grow instead of problems. To learn from problems, we need to think about them, figure out what we could do better, and then do something about it. Stoicism teaches us to use our resilience and tenacity to get through difficulties and come out better on the other side, rather than letting adversity beat us. Epicurus says that problems can teach us how to be stronger, smarter, and more in control of ourselves. We can develop a better understanding of ourselves, our ideals, and our purpose in life by accepting the lessons that adversity has to teach us. 18th principle: give up what you can't change. Developing an attitude of acceptance, surrender, and distance is a big part of letting go of things we can't change. Stoicism encourages us to direct our attention and efforts toward areas where we can actually make a difference, rather than letting fear, anxiety, or anger over things beyond our control overwhelm us. For example, Stoicism teaches us to accept situations or events that are out of our control with calm and kindness, knowing that focusing on them only causes us to suffer needlessly. We can find peace and happiness in life's uncertainties by letting go of our connection to results and focusing on the present moment. Additionally, letting go of things we can't change means believing in the natural order of things and understanding that some things are out of our control. Stoicism tells us to give up trying to change things that can't be changed. Instead, we should go with the flow of life and find meaning and purpose even when things are unclear. Epicurus says that letting go of things we can't change frees us from the weight of fear and anxiety and enables us to live more fully in line with our values and goals. We can feel a deep sense of freedom and inner peace when we let go of our connection to results and surrender to the present moment. Now that we've finished talking about the timeless knowledge of Stoicism, it's clear that Epicurus's ideas are still very important to us today. To get through life's challenges with grace, resilience, and knowledge, Stoicism tells us to do things like see problems as chances to grow and value real friendship. Stoicism tells us that even though the world is crazy, it's important to find inner peace, keep things in perspective, and focus on what really counts. We can find comfort in the face of adversity, strengthen our relationships with others, and live with more purpose and meaning if we adopt Stoic ideals into our daily lives. As the great Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Befriend those who will make you a better man. Accept those who can make you a better man. People learn while they teach." With this in mind, and after talking about the 7 personalities that might make us stray from Stoicism last week, let's take a more positive view today. We're going to look into the souls that Stoicism so passionately praises. These are the people whose responses to life show us how to live by Stoic principles, which guide and inspire us. Join us on this trip of praise as we learn more about the people who truly embody Stoic knowledge and resilience. Type 1. People who think deeply about what they say. In Stoicism, the person who thinks deeply about things has a special place. Why? Stoicism isn't just reading or talking about philosophy, it's about taking its lessons to heart and following them in everyday life. This is exactly what thoughtful thinkers do. They regularly question, analyze, and dig deep into their actions and thoughts. Think about the huge ocean. It may look rough on the outside, with waves breaking and winds roaring, but it's peaceful and quiet inside. Also, the thoughtful thinker may have a chaotic world around them, but they have a calm inside that helps them get through life's storms. They don't just respond to things that happen. Instead, they think about them, figure out how they feel, and decide what the best thing to do is. You may be wondering how someone can learn to think deeply about things. Well, it starts with making it a habit to think about yourself. For example, keeping a journal was something that many Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, did every day. They could understand their views, make sense of the world, and get clear by writing down their thoughts. It's not just about thinking about yourself, though. A thoughtful thinker also actively seeks out information. They are always learning, changing, and getting bigger. They don't take material at face value. Instead, they dig deeper, break it down, and look at it from different points of view. They are critical without being negative and analytical without being too harsh. These people are beautiful because they make those around them want to be better. Having them around is like a breath of fresh air. They remind us of how important it is to stop and think before jumping in, and how powerful it is to really understand oneself. In a world that values quick responses and sound bites, someone who can think deeply and carefully stands out. I hope you have someone like this in your life. They will help you see things more clearly and give you knowledge. Developing this level of thought is also a great place to start if you want to be more like the Stoics. Type 2 of people, the strong and durable. Throughout history, especially during hard times, there is a unique group that stands out: the strong endurers. They're not just people who can deal with things, they're changers who use their problems to grow as people. Imagine getting lost on a road through the desert that seems to go on forever. Many people would give up in the heat and mirages, but those who are strong and determined find oases of chances along the way. They welcome the challenges of life and see each one as an opportunity to learn something important. Imagine a business person who is at a crossroads in their work. The plucky endurer sees many ways to explore new areas, learn new skills, or use the crossroads as a starting point for a groundbreaking project, while most people see them as a confusing junction. Not only at work, but also in their personal ties, they always have a strong spirit. When there are disagreements or misunderstandings, they don't get angry. Instead, they think about what went wrong and figure out how to fix it. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, said Marcus Aurelius. These are the kind of people who, despite facing difficult personal circumstances, offer to help others. They're the co-workers who remake their professional identities after losing their jobs, or the member of the community who turns a personal health loss into a cause for everyone to be healthier. We are constantly reminded by the strong endurer's attitude that life isn't just about getting through hard times, it's also about mastering them. The Stoic philosophy of resilience is embodied in them. They show how to truly endure and inspire growth, even when the road seems steep and twisting. Third type of person, the honest advisor. The honest advisor stands out with a clear glow in the complex web of human relationships that includes a wide range of characters. People like this always make sure that their words, even if they make you feel uncomfortable, are balanced with sensitivity and real purpose. Think back to a time when you were on the verge of making a decision but weren't sure what to do. People who are honest with you are more likely to be the voice that breaks through the fog and shows you the way. They're not just places where our own thoughts are repeated or where positive messages are given out. They bravely go where others might be afraid, pushing our limits and making us think about ourselves. Think about a young writer who is excited to show her first draft to a group of friends. Many people are quick to praise her, but the honest mentor sees her raw potential and gives her helpful comments. They point out areas that are ready to be improved, not to bring down moods, but to make the way for success. Their faith in her skills sometimes makes her doubt her own abilities. In the workplace, they are the ones who point out mistakes in a way that doesn't offend, making sure that the whole project is of the best quality. Within the family, they could be a grandparent or cousin who gently questions our life choices out of love and care, not because they want to tell us what to do. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." An honest guide is this necessary friction, the soft, rough force that smooths out our edges and helps us shine our best light. They are honest without being rude or rash. It comes from kindness and a real wish for our growth. With a strong sense of right and wrong and a long-lasting commitment to our growth, they don't push us to put others down, but to raise ourselves up, which broadens our views and guides us toward greatness. In a world where lies and quick compliments are common, the honest guide stands out as a true example of authenticity. Their knowledge is very helpful on our journey. The fourth type of person is the happy minimalist. People who are happy with what they have are a welcome change in a world where constant shopping and wealth are seen as signs of worth. Their philosophy is more than just having things. It's a deep understanding that happiness comes from living simply and on purpose, not from just getting more things. Imagine a house that is quiet and doesn't stand out in any noticeable way. It's not crowded with the newest tech gadgets or overfull closets. Instead, it's filled with room, clarity, and useful things. Each item reminds us of a special moment, tells a story, or is necessary for daily life. This is the safe place for the happy minimalist. Think about that coworker who picks an important birthday party over a big party. They might get together with a small group of people for a vacation to meditate or a comforting meal at home. The focus shifts from showmanship to real friendships and special times. Even though we live in a digital world, some people still value the weight of a handwritten letter over a quick tweet or a deep talk over a busy meeting. Their decisions in life come from a deep understanding of what life is all about. Like Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This is what the satisfied minimalist is all about. Their happiness doesn't come from getting more things. It comes from being thankful, living simply, and having a purpose in life. Their way of life is a powerful example of how real happiness doesn't come from having a lot of things, but from having a lot of things that we appreciate. By imitating the happy minimalist, we learn that true happiness doesn't come from constantly accumulating things. Instead, it comes from reflecting on our lives, having a heart full of thanks, and finding deep joy in the little things that happen in life. Type 5. The helper with empathy. In the noise and chaos of today's world, there are a few rare sources of love and understanding, like a warm fire on a cold winter night. These are the sensitive helpers, people who don't just notice how other people are feeling, but really understand them and offer help and comfort that often goes beyond words. Consider the team member who can tell when someone is losing motivation despite all the work and talks that need to be done. Instead of spying on you, they might come up to you with a genuine offer to talk or a coffee break on the spot. Because they have an uncanny ability to read people's feelings, they are often seen as an unofficial guardian of the group's well-being, lifting spirits and strengthening team bonds. Think about the friend who drops off a freshly baked pie for a family going through a hard time, or the traveler who sees a fellow passenger's teary eyes and passes them a note of comfort, quietly boosting faith in humanity. Taking inspiration from Seneca's wise words, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." The caring person doesn't just recognize these times, they take part in them, creating a web of comfort and understanding.
Their deeds show what a huge difference small acts of kindness can make. It's not about showy actions or actions that make the news. It's about genuine acts of kindness that spread through hearts and communities but are often forgotten.
Through their actions, they show that real power doesn't come from being distant, but from truly connecting with others and using our kindness to heal, raise, and cross gaps. The caring helper shows us how powerful pure selfless connection can be, inviting us to go beyond our own limitations and truly connect with the heartbeats of those around us. Sixth type of person, the disciplined learner. The dedicated student stands out as a model of fire and persistence in a world full of complicated traits. Many people learn in fits and starts, depending on their moods. A focused student, on the other hand, plans their path with unwavering dedication and an endless hunger for knowledge. Think about that friend from school who, despite the draw of short-term distractions, set aside time every day to study. They weren't studying for exams out of anxiety. They were studying because they really respected the material. Think about that friend who starts something new. Many people give up when their interest wanes, but a focused learner keeps going. They take a methodical approach to everything they do, whether it's learning the chords on a guitar, speaking a foreign language fluently, or getting into the details of chess. They know that real success comes from long-term effort, not short-term enthusiasm. Professionally, they stand out as people who are always improving their skills, not just because it's required of them, but because they want to keep growing. These are the people who go to workshops, read a lot of books related to their field, and are always at the top of their fields. In line with Epictetus's wise words, "Only the educated are free," the focused learner is a model of this freedom. Since they are not limited by things that make them comfortable and are always learning new things, their presence emphasizes the importance of consistent commitment over intermittent passion. It's not about taking in information in random bursts. It's about constantly feeding it, making learning an unchanging part of their daily lives. In their work, the focused student quietly but firmly says that gaining knowledge isn't something that ends, but a journey that never ends, and the joy comes from both the journey and the final peak of understanding. Seventh type of person, the lover of the present moment. In a time when people are constantly distracted and trying to reach their goals for the future, the present moment lover stands out like a breath of fresh air. These people stand out because they can really live in the present moment, even though juggling and planning ahead are valued in our society. Picture that friend who gives you their full attention when you talk. They have forgotten about their phone, and their look stays fixed. Every minute spent with them feels like an hour, and every talk is like a soul-warming hug. It's not how much time was spent, but how well the link was made. Think about parents who, despite having a lot of things to do every day, find time to really connect with their kids. Their minds aren't drifting to unfinished jobs or emails that need to be answered. Instead, they're exploring make-believe worlds with their kids, enjoying laughs and imagination, and cherishing the fleeting wonders of childhood. An individual who pauses to truly enjoy the magic of a sunset is a present moment lover in the hug of nature. They get lost in its rainbow of colors, let its peace surround them, and enjoy its brief grandeur. They're not taking a quick picture for digital praise. Instead, they're taking in the momentary wonder with all of their being. Marcus Aurelius said it well. Don't dwell on the panorama of what was and what might be. Anchor yourself in the present. Someone who loves the present moment knows that life is a canvas that includes the past, the present, and the future. But the most vivid strokes are painted in the present. This way of doing things shows the deep truth that planning for the future has its benefits, but thinking on the past can teach you valuable lessons. Life's most beautiful dances are performed in the present. By committing to the present moment, a present moment lover not only gets the most joy out of life's fleeting moments, but they also invite others to let go of the worries of the past and the stresses of the future and enjoy the amazing show of the present. As we come to the end of today's discussion on the honored lives that Stoicism highlights, it is important to take their lessons to heart. We shouldn't just admire them from afar. We should try to live by the ideals they stand for. They help us find our way by shining a light on the Stoic values we want to develop in ourselves. Think about the people and relationships you've met. Do people with such power come into your life? What's more, think about your job. Are you such an example for other people to follow? As we wrap up this journey into the heart of Stoicism and its power to forge a bulletproof mindset, it's crucial to take a moment to reflect on the transformative insights we've uncovered together. This exploration was not just about acquainting you with ancient philosophy, but about providing you with a set of practical tools and perspectives to navigate the complexities of modern life with grace, strength, and resilience. Remember, adopting a Stoic mindset is not a one-time task, but a lifelong commitment to growth, self-reflection, and continuous improvement. The principles and strategies we've discussed are your compass and map for facing whatever life throws your way with calm and determination. As you step forward from here, keep in mind that every challenge is an opportunity to apply what you've learned, to test your resilience, and to grow stronger. You now have the knowledge to transform your mindset and, by extension, your life. It's about putting these Stoic principles into practice daily, whether you're dealing with minor annoyances or significant setbacks. Embrace the journey ahead with open arms and a steadfast heart, knowing that you are well equipped to handle life's trials and triumphs. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening path towards building a bulletproof mindset with Stoicism. Carry forward the wisdom, courage, and serenity you've cultivated here into every aspect of your life. May your journey be filled with growth, resilience, and unshakable peace as you continue to navigate the ups and downs of life with a Stoic grace. You've taken an important step today towards becoming the most resilient, focused, and unshakable version of yourself. Keep pushing forward, keep growing, and remember, the most robust fortress you can build is within yourself. Here's to your journey of transformation and the incredible strength you're destined to discover along the way.